Hey everyone, welcome to the Planning Board, Jersey City Planning Board meeting. Today is September 19th, 2023. I'm calling the meeting to order. I will be standing in for Chairman Langston today as acting chairman. So with that, without further ado, we will start with the sunshine announcement. Actually, let me start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone can join us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Cameron.
All right. Good evening, Acting Chairman, Dr. Gonzalez. Today is Tuesday, September 19th in the year 2023. This is a Jersey City Planning Board meeting with a scheduled 5:30 p.m. start time. This planning board meeting is being held virtually as a video conference that is open to the public. And in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, notice of this meeting has been given to the editor of the Jersey Journal, the Jersey City Reporter, and posted with the city clerk on September 14th of this year. This meeting was also posted on the Jersey City Division of City Planning webpage, and all distribution materials made available to the board were published and available to the public.
Thank you. Do a roll call, please.
Yes. Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Right. Commissioner Stamato.
Here.
Commissioner Gangaden. Acting Vice Chair Gangaden.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Torres.
Here.
And I see we just got Commissioner Lipsky.
Present.
All right. And Acting Chair, Dr. Gonzalez.
Here.
All right, awesome. We have 6 commissioners present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll do a swearing in of the staff, please.
Okay, I see Cameron, Matt, Matthew, and that's it. All right, do you guys swear any testimony you get tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any correspondence, Cameron?
Yes. All right, well, under item 6 in the agenda, you'll notice we have adjournments. So address 381 Route 440, they have requested to adjourn, and they are already listed under adjournments. They will be carried to October 10th with preservation of notice. But under new business, we have 5 items requesting to carry with preservation of notice. Starting with item 10 on the agenda, that is address 829 Bergen Avenue. That is case number P23-076. They have requested to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. That is our next regularly scheduled meeting, and that's in 3 weeks. After that, we have item 11 on the agenda. Case number P23-028, that is address 608 Grove Street. They have also requested to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. And that's for a conditional use proposed class 5 cannabis retailer. Then we jump all the way over to item 20 on the agenda. That is case P23-062. Address 619 Marin for preliminary and final major site plan with variances. They've requested to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. And then the very last 2 items on the agenda have both requested to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. That is item 23, case P22-140, address 152 Ogden Avenue. It's for a preliminary and final major site plan. Requesting to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. And then the very last item on the agenda, it is case P23-075, item 24 on the agenda. Address is 319 to 321 4th Street. It's for a preliminary and final major site plan with C variances, and they have requested to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. And that concludes the request to carry. We do have a couple items of reorganizing the agenda tonight, though. due to the review planner on city staff joining a bit late, so we're gonna have to skip to the case after that, which would be, oh, actually, I'm sorry. We're moving the artists up. So dead last, item 25, we're moving the artists up, and then we're gonna proceed with item 12 until our director, Marion, comes on.
Thank you very much, Cameron.
That's
We
all.
also do have another announcement in terms of, just so that everybody knows, today we will be ending the meeting at a hard stop at 9 p.m. So we're gonna get through as much as we can, and as we're getting closer to the time when we feel, we can't call you and complete your application, we will go ahead and let you guys know. But for now, we can move forward. I think the first one then we're gonna call is the certified artist Patricia Lay and Abhishek Tuwala. Who's that? Who's got that, Matt? Or Matt?
It's just city staff, and planning staffs reviewed the applications. The artist certification board has recognized them as qualifying under criteria 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they have decided to make them certified artists, and city planning agrees with this and recommends approval.
As such, thank you, Cameron. I'll go ahead and call for any one from the public.
Okay, we have attorney Thomas Lean raising their hand. I'll promote him.
Okay.
Cam, my hand was raised in regard to one of the items that you mentioned was adjourned with preservation of notice. I can just deal with that when it gets to my first case. We actually didn't notice for it. I just wanted to make that clear.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, anybody from the public wish to speak on the certified artist Patricia Lay and Abhishek Tuwala?
Chair, see there's no public. I would like to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to close the public. Public is now closed. And Cameron, you,
Somebody just,
Right as we closed it,
Oh.
Deborah Max raised their hand,
perfect. All right, let's get him up.
or,
promoting Deborah Max.
I apologize. I just cut out. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, is 40 Waverly going to be discussed this evening?
That item is scheduled. We do not know if we will get to it tonight, but it is scheduled for this meeting.
It's number
Okay.
18 on the agenda, ma'am.
Number 18? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, anyone else? And I think we now closed. We had a first and a second.
well, there's another guy, Brian wants to speak. His hand's up at least.
All right, promoting
Thank you,
Brian.
Commissioner Lipsky. I can't see. I don't know why I don't see that. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hi,
There he is.
sorry, I had a similar question. I think mine cut out at the same time that other ladies might have as well. I just had a question about whether the one that I'm attending for was on the agenda. I wasn't sure when to ask that.
What number is it, sir?
I have the case number. Is that
What's the address? Uh-huh.
it's on South Street. It's not 119, it's 117 South Street, I believe. It's there's block 2, lots 29 and 30. It's P20230006.
It's 421 Central Avenue. It's the Taco Bell. Yeah, that'll probably get heard around like 8.
Great, thank you. Sorry to hold up what you guys are doing currently.
No worries.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving
No.
on. Oh, you think we opened and closed the public? So, Cameron, you obviously recommend?
Yes, Chairman, planning staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve certify artists Patricia Lee and Abhishek Twala based upon staff recommendation.
Second.
Second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call.
All right, acting Vice Chair Gangadin,
Aye. Good luck to both of our new artists.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Torres,
Aye.
and acting Chairman Dr. Gonzalez. You were muted, Doctor.
Oh, no, aye. Hello?
Oh, okay, you're good. Yeah. All right, all in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, the next one, I guess we'll be pulling up case 12 up, correct, Cameron?
Correct, yes.
All right. So next case I'm calling up is case P23.
Excuse me, Chairman, Dr. Gonzalez, case number 9, what is going on with that one? Is that, I don't
Yeah,
have
we're
that.
gonna be we're waiting for Tanya to come in and
Okay, I'm sorry then.
yeah,
Okay,
no worries. I think that's gonna be called next if Tanya makes it.
I understand now. Okay.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm calling case P23-056 for preliminary and final major site plan with variances. Address on this application is 823 Newark Ave. And I believe we have Michael Higgins. And I see Mr. Higgins, he's muted and we can't see him yet. There we go.
Members of the board, Michael Higgins of the law firm Castano Quigley and Cerami on behalf of Raj Realty LLC. So for some housekeeping, I would like to confirm that the board's received our proof of notice that was submitted.
Thank you, counsel. I have received your affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the application of 823 Newark Ave. It does appear to be in order. You can go ahead and mark it as A1 for the record.
Okay, great. So this is for 823 Newark Avenue. This is block 9401 and lot 7. This is in the Journal Square redevelopment area. It's in zone 5, and the application tonight is to construct a 4-story mixed-use building. There will be 1 commercial space on the ground floor and 12 residential units on the upper floors. To accomplish this, we need preliminary and final major site plan approval. We also need variances for the minimum rear yard setback on the upper floors, where 85 feet from the right-of-way is required and 135.67 feet is proposed. And also for the maximum rooftop appurtenance height, where 10 feet are required, 10 feet are permitted, excuse me, and 14 feet are proposed. And that second variance relates to the elevator bulkhead. I'd note too at the outset, with regards to the rear yard setback variance, when our architect pulls up the plans and walks the board through it, you see the path right of way passes in the rear of the property. So our position is that there would be no adverse impact to light and air based on this variance. It also only applies to the upper floors. So our architect is Raul Cabato. I see he was promoted already. If we could please get him sworn in, and he can share his screen and walk us through the plans.
Thank you, Council. Mr. Higgins, you have all your other people, your witnesses have been promoted?
Carolyn Worstel, I see as our planner. And yep, that's
okay.
it. I'll have testified with him.
Perfect, sir. Thank you.
Hi, Raul. Swear you in. You can raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Sure. Raul Cabato, Raulcabato.
Thank you.
Chairman, just before we start, I want the record to reflect that Commissioner Desai has joined. She's been on since the beginning of this application. Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, Dr. Desai. Thank you, counsel. Mr. Cabato, we have authorized you to speak before as a witness, as a expert witness, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your license is current and in good standing?
It is current and in good standing.
Perfect. Go ahead. You're okay.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can everybody see the screen?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Mr. Cabato, there's been no change to these plans since what's been submitted is located on the portal?
No, sir, there hasn't been any changes. I did just highlight some items on the original drawing just for clarity.
All right, so why don't we just mark it as A2?
A2, okay.
A2.
All right. So let me begin. Sure. Okay, I don't know where this is acting up. All right, the project shall be located in Zone 5, the Commercial Main Street District of the Journal Square 26D redevelopment plan. It is an irregularly shaped it's an irregularly shaped lot with a width of 23.75 feet and a depth of 153.7 feet at the south property, which is this side, and over 135.5 feet at the north property line. The lot has an area of 3,440 square feet. Proposed shall be 4-story, 43-foot high structure plus a cellar with a total gross floor area of approximately 15,268 square feet. The proposed structure shall be built to the front and the side property lines. Although allowed to build 100% of the lot on the first floor, we are proposing to build only 97.3%. Due to the irregular nature of the lot, the structure shall have a rear setback from the second to the fourth floors of 18 feet from the north, over 15 feet to the south, and 9 feet at the midpoint. That would be here. So this is the second floor up here. So we have setbacks at these locations. And the ground floor is built right here. A variance is hereby requested to allow the construction of the upper floors to exceed the maximum 85 feet from the street right of way. At its maximum, the structure shall be about 136 feet from the street right of way. A second variance is to allow a 14-foot high roof appurtenance for the elevator bulkhead. We have been informed by elevator contractors that this is the ideal height required for the proper operation of the elevator systems. We are also proposing the planting of one street tree. Okay. And we are also proposing to, I don't know why this isn't working. Okay. We're proposing a sign in front of the entry, which is about 7.3 square feet to be located above the commercial entry doors. Okay. Let me walk you through the plans. This is an aerial photo of the project. The site is right here, and as mentioned earlier by Michael, that this is the path right of way, and this is Newark Avenue right here. Okay. On sheet A100, located on the cellar level shall be various utility rooms, a refuse area, the sprinkler pump room, bike parking for at least 12 bikes, and accessory storage for the commercial unit above. This is commercial storage, and this is the commercial unit. This would be the lobby for the elevator on the first floor, and there's a lobby on the cellar. The first floor is going to be a commercial unit. There are 4 dwelling units per floor as proposed from the 2nd through the 4th floors, for a total of 12 dwelling units. An atrium, this area in blue here is an atrium. It's proposed to provide natural light and air to the interior studio units. The atrium shall be designed to provide air through side louvers and a light via skylight. The atrium measures 17.8 feet by 10 feet and shall be open from the 2nd floor to the roof. Just to give you an idea, I'll give you on a section, this is what that atrium would look like. So it's open from the 2nd floor up to allow light and air to these units. Each floor consists of 2 one-bedroom units, the yellow, and 2 studio units, which are here. On average, a typical 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit shall be 563 square feet, and a typical studio unit shall be 363 square feet. Each individual unit shall have their own laundry facilities. Note that the rear portion of the first floor roof shall have a green roof element, which is the same system utilized for the rooftop, which will be described shortly. Going to the roof, proposed that the roof shall be an 887 square foot roof deck, which shall be an amenity space for the occupants. There shall also be 667 square feet of green roof elements. The green roof elements consist of self-draining plant trays. This particular system was selected for its ease of installation, reasonable cost, and easy maintenance. The modular nature of the system ensures that replacing parts become effortless. The benefits include stormwater management, reduction of the heat island effect, reduction of energy usage, noise reduction, in addition to the visual and aesthetic benefits. Details of the roof, green roof element can be found on sheet A401. And let me get that right here. So this is the green roof element. Going back to sheet A300. The primary facade fronting Newark Avenue consists mainly of a red brick finish. A portion of the front facade shall be clad in wood, like siding, surrounded by a metal frame. The windows, coping, as well as the cornices shall be clad in metal. The window system shall incorporate the packaged terminal air conditioning units, or PTAC units, which shall be utilized in this project. All the metals at the facade shall have the same black finish. Exposed areas of the side of the structure, as well as the rear facade, shall be clad primarily in stucco. And here's a sample of the finish for the stucco. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Cabato. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Cabato?
No.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Raul. I have one other witness. Carolyn Worstel is our planner. We could have her promoted as well and sworn in, and she can testify towards the variance that we're requesting.
Hi, Carolyn. How are you? You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, could you state and spell your name, please?
It's Carolyn Worstel, Worstel.
Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, take it away.
Ms. Worstel, how are you?
Good to see you all again.
Great to see you. You've obviously presented in front of us.
Yes, my license is still in good standing, so.
Awesome. Okay, you're qualified.
Excellent. So happy to be here with you all again tonight. We're here for just two variances for this application. One is for that minimum rear yard setback for the upper floors, and the second is for the variance for the rooftop appurtenance height for the elevator bulkhead. So starting with that minimum rear yard setback variance for the upper floors. So this project is proposing a maximum building depth of 135.8 feet from the right of way, which exceeds the permitted 85 feet set by the redevelopment plan. This subject property does have a deeper than typical lot depth, which is one of the reasons why we were looking at a deeper building here. The lot here is 135.66 feet at the west and 154.13 feet at the east side. So significantly deeper than your typical lot in Jersey City, which the standard was designed for. We are still providing rear yard setbacks that are some pretty consistent with that typical requirement. On an 85-foot or 100-foot lot depth, you typically with 85 feet would get approximately a 15-foot setback. Here we're providing a stepped setback because we do have, in addition to being very deep, we have irregular lot lines that you saw that they don't form your typical right angles. So we have an angle to that rear lot line. So we do step the building back into sort of like a jogged line. And so that has a minimum setback at 9 feet and 11 3/4 inches at the narrowest or at the shallowest for the setback, and up to 15 feet. So the project is still providing that rear yard setback at the upper floors that's generally in keeping with the intent of the requirement. And additionally, we don't believe that this project will have any substantial detriment on the light and air to the adjacent properties. As has been mentioned, adjacent to the rear of this property is the path right of way, which provides separation between this proposed building and any residential uses south of the tracks. And adjacent to the east and west, the existing ground floors of the building extend to the rear lot line. So there are no adjacent windows or yards which would be impacted by the proposed extension. So overall, we believe that there wouldn't be a significant impact. Looking at that rooftop appurtenance height deviation, we're proposing an elevator bulkhead height of 14 feet, where 10 feet is the maximum permitted for buildings up to 45 feet. This is a pretty typical elevator bulkhead height. It's just a sort of a shorter building than oftentimes we see in Jersey City. The proposed elevator bulkhead won't be visible from Newark Avenue. It is situated towards the center of the building, so it's fairly deep within the lot, and so it shouldn't be visible. And I think overall the benefits of this project overall outweigh the detriments of the two variances being requested this evening. We are developing what is currently a vacant lot to a commercial mixed use in a mixed use district. We're going to be providing new sidewalks and a street tree. We're providing over 2,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space for current and future residents of the neighborhood. And we're promoting more walkability, bikeability, and public transit with this development within a third of a mile to Journal Square pass stations, as well as providing for the green roof and on-site stormwater system. So overall, it's a benefit that this project will provide. I believe that granting the deviations or variances will advance the purpose of the municipal land use law. It's consistent with purpose A. It's an appropriate use and development of the property. They'll promote the general welfare through an appropriate mixed use building in the Journal Square neighborhood. It will provide adequate light, air, and open space consistent with purpose C, providing setbacks appropriate for the location adjacent to the path right of way. The project will also promote the establishment of appropriate population densities consistent with purpose E, providing a mixed and multifamily building in the Journal Square area. And then it's also is consistent with purpose I. The project will promote a desirable visual environment by developing a vacant site with new ground floor commercial, as well as new street tree and sidewalk streetscape improvements. Granting the requested deviations, I don't believe would result in a substantial detriment to the public good or general welfare. proposed project is in character in terms of the use in bulk with existing uses and buildings within the surrounding area, including height and the front and side yard setback requirements. And it will promote the walkability, as I said, the walkability, bikeability, and help with public transit access for future residents, and its proximity to Journal Square, as well as the new ground floor commercial use for current and future residents in the Journal Square neighborhood. Likewise, I don't believe this will result in a substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. It promotes the purpose of Zone 5, which is to continue the existing pattern of Main Street type commercial buildings along Newark Avenue, while providing for efficient modern new construction and increased in density. It will also advance several Journal Square 2060 redevelopment plan objectives, including Objective 7, reducing automobile dependency by encouraging high density development in close proximity to mass transit, and Objective 8, providing for urban amenities, housing, and commercial uses within the neighborhood that will attract new employees, new residents to the area while sustaining the existing neighborhood. And it's consistent with Objective 15 to encourage the private sector to develop with building stepbacks, providing for light and air that's for the adjacent properties. So I believe that we're consistent with those objectives, and that this project can be approved, and that the proofs have been both positive and negative criteria have been met for the requested variances. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to continue.
Thank you, Ms. Worstel. Any questions for her? Anyone?
No.
Okay.
I do have a question for the architect.
Yes, Commissioner Torres.
We can finish with this part.
Okay, so I think that concludes all of our direct testimony for this evening. We're happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Yes, this is Commissioner Torres, just on the, I guess to the architect, commercial space in the downstairs basement area. The commercial space I see he has, is he on?
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
here.
Is there a sprinkler system in this commercial space, or is it just a going by the second meter egress that you have located in the center of the space? Is that what
So
I'm looking at?
The entire building will be protected by a sprinkler system.
The entire building's protected? Oh, okay, so.
The entire building, yes, sir.
And that's gonna be located under the commercial space in the basement, or is it on the
We're
same
talking
floor?
about the sprinkler pump room will be at
Well,
the
yeah, I
cellar
don't see
level.
where those are at on the drawings. But okay, so the second needs an egress, and there's no egress to the back of the building. I can see on a drawing.
That's correct. There's no egress in the
There's
back
no
of the
egress
building.
to back. Okay.
There's nowhere to go.
That's what I was wondering. Since it was in the middle, I was worried about people that might be stuck in the building, but you have a sprinkler system.
That's correct.
That's good. Okay, that's all I have, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres. Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Higgins, does that conclude your?
Yeah, that concludes our presentation for tonight.
Okay, thank you. No more questions, guys? If not, I'll go ahead and open up for to the public. Is anyone here to speak on this application? Please raise your hand. I see somebody already did.
Promoting Jimmy G.
Hi, Jimmy. How you doing?
Hey, good afternoon.
I just want to swear you in before you speak, all right? If you could raise your right hand.
Sure.
Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name and give us your home address, please?
Jimmy Gindi, Guindi. Home address, 2329 East 2nd Street.
Thank you.
Hey, Jimmy, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Sure. I just have a question regarding the light and air in the middle of the building. I see how the light is coming into the skylight, but could someone explain how the air is getting into those studio apartments?
Okay, I think that would best be addressed by Raul.
Okay, Mr. Cabato, you are muted.
Sure,
Okay, there
sorry.
we go.
Is that your only question or?
That's my only question, yes.
Okay.
Just curious how the
Yeah.
air is gonna get in there.
Sure. So what we usually do, and we've done this in other buildings in Jersey City, is we have sort of a skylight at the top where it allows, the glass would allow the light, and the sides would be louvers, so it allows the airs. Now, the units themselves would have sort of operable windows in the atrium side. That whole area will also be protected by a sprinkler system. And like I said, we've had it done in other buildings on one I could think of is 340 West Side, and it works pretty well considering the size. It's 10 feet by 17 feet. So it's a substantial size sort of courtyard.
So it's a skylight courtyard with drainage, I'm assuming. Okay, usually skylights are enclosed, so I was just curious about that. Thank you.
Yeah, so the sides would allow the air.
Got it. Interesting.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public? Anyone else from the public? Raise your hand.
Chair, see no one from the public. I would like to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay. Public is now closed. Mr. Higgins, anything else you need to tell us before we
I'll note that the conditions included in staff report are acceptable to the applicant also.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think this is Matt.
Yes.
Staff is satisfied with the testimony. If you have any questions regarding this application, I'm happy to answer them. The applicant just put on the record that they'll agree to staff conditions. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Matt.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P23-056 as presented to the board this evening, together with staff condition and recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded.
On a motion to approve with conditions, Acting Vice Chair Gangadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Torres,
As I looked at this project, I see the length of the project, and I couldn't understand why looking for a variance for the rear yard setback. But when you see the pictures of the neighborhood, and you see it's in standard with the rest of the neighborhood and what was presented today as to the planner, it becomes understanding of why it's such a long property, but you're still having the property is adjacent. It matches the rest of the neighborhood, what they're doing. So I like the project, and with that, I vote aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
This part of Newark Avenue, it's my heart, whatever happens on Newark Avenue, I'm so happy. And this is one thing which is coming up there, beautiful project, and I would vote aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
I echo Dr. Desai's sentiments and I vote aye.
and Acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez.
I echo Commissioners Lipsky and Dr. Desai, vote aye.
Motion carries all in favor on a motion to approve with conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins, Ms. Worstel. Okay, Matt, do we have our planner, our director?
I don't see Tanya just yet.
That's fine. We can move on to case number 13. Is that okay with everyone?
Okay, and I will check in with her.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Don't go anywhere. There you go. So I'm gonna next case to be called is just for the record, we will come back to case P22-210, number 9 on the agenda. We are just awaiting our director planner who will be part of that application. So we're moving on to case number 13, case P23-065. This is a site plan amendment. Address is 16 18 and 20 Nevin Street. Applicant is 20 Nevin LLC, and we have Mr. Higgins here as the attorney.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, Michael Higgins of Castano Quigley and Cherami on behalf of 20 Nevin LLC, the applicant for this project. As was said already, this is for 16, 18, and 20 Nevin Street. That is lots 40, 41, and 42 in block 15004. This is in the McGinley Square redevelopment area. Actually, I would like to take a moment to confirm receipt of our proof of notice once again for this application.
Thank you, counsel. I am going to receive the affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the application at 16, 18, and 20 Nevin Street. It does appear to be in order. It's marked as A1 for the record, Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this is a site plan amendment application, and we also need two variances for that. That is a side setback on the 5th floor of the building, where 0 feet are proposed on the east side and 5 feet are required, and also for the front setback, where 0 feet are permitted and 4 feet are proposed. The board previously approved this application, but due to a clerical error, an error with the zoning table, what was approved was reversed on the sides from what we actually need approved tonight. And as part of this amendment, we're also including a few changes to the facade design. I only have one witness to bring up to testify to that effect. That's Ephraim Gobriel, our architect. If he is in the...
Yes, he's got his hand up.
You ready to go, Mike?
Yep. So we can get Ephraim sworn in and qualified.
Hi, Ephraim, I'll swear in. If you could raise your right hand. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
My name is Ephraim Gobriel, E-F-R-A-M, last name Gobriel, G-H-O-B-R-I-A-L.
Thank you.
Okay, Ephraim, if you don't mind sharing your screen for the board. And
Mr. Gobriel, have you presented to our board before?
Yes, I did.
Okay. License is
my
current?
My license is current.
And
And
good standing. Okay, you're qualified, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to share my screen. You can see my screen now.
We can.
All right, perfect. So, as Mike explained, it's a it's very simple amendment. The first one has to do with the clerical error in the setbacks. It used to be it was mentioned before on the resolution. I believe it was the variance was granted for this side. However, we actually are looking for the variance to be on that side. The design also of the exterior has been updated and changed throughout, with keeping the envelope of the building exactly being the same. We did not increase any heights nor width or depth to the building. I also had shared the letter explaining exactly, and I believe you already have a copy of this, the exact itemized list of all the setbacks and the actual one that we're looking to for here. The redesign of the exterior is simply we're proposing brick on the ground floor and brick in some other areas of the building, along with accent black panels and black window trims, as you see here in this rendering. Again, just to refresh your memory, everything remained the same, with just minor changes on where trash room and bike storage are, just for the sake of making the building work better and much more efficiently. The parking count is the same, bike storage is the same, the number of units is also the same. This hasn't been changed. So on the ground floor, this is the front entrance, vestibule and residential lobby here. And then you have also the garage, the garage door, garage entrance. Moving on to the second floor. There's also, there's a utility basement, just limited for utility. The second floor, that's where the residential units will start. Very typical, two means of egress and an elevator, with the setback in the back, and we're proposing a private terrace on this floor. And then moving up, this is the proposed third floor. This is our typical floor, and then going up to the fifth floor to comply with the setbacks here, we are proposing a setback in the front here, which also will be utilized for a private terrace. Moving up to the roof, we are proposing approximately 1,900 square foot of roof deck to be used by the building tenants only, with a mechanical space. Again, just looking at the envelope, everything is pretty much the same. No changes to heights nor width and depth of the building. Everything is the same as it was previously when it was approved the first time. That would conclude my testimony.
Okay, thank you, Ephraim. And I would just note once again that this was previously approved by the board, and it's really just unfortunately due to a clerical error that we need to correct which side variance is on, where the previous resolution referenced the west side. We now need it on the eastern side, or I guess you could call that the northeast side. So that concludes our testimony for this evening, but we are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, council, thank you so much. Any questions?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
pretty straightforward. All right, I'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Anyone from the public wants to speak on this case, P23-065, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one wishing to speak on this case from the public, I move to close.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded, so public is now closed. Okay, anything else, Mr. Higgins, before we send it to planning?
Nothing else I'd like to note on this. We will accept the conditions included in the Cameron staff report and work to address the engineering comments with engineering.
Okay, thank you. And this was Matt, no, this is Cameron, right? All right.
So thank you, council, for agreeing to the planning staff memo dated September 1st of this year. It's unfortunate that they've had to come back, but I do think we have a better project now. Aesthetically, some of the colors have been modified to align with the new mission of city planning. We're trying to get away from the darker tones. So now they've incorporated white on the facade, which will help to brighten up the lovely gray winters we have here. And also there's just some better street tree species. And overall, it's a good project that meets the objectives and goals of the redevelopment plan, and some nice size units. So planning staff recommends approval of the amendments with conditions.
Thank you, Cameron.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P23-065 as presented to the board, together with staff recommendation and condition.
Second.
Motion made and second. Okay.
I I'm sorry, actually, I'm having a mind blank. Did we open it to public?
Yes, and
Yep, we
close.
Did.
Okay, sorry, don't listen to me. All right, acting Vice Chair Congadin.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
I love when we can turn errors into something better. Good job. I vote aye.
okay, Commissioner Dr. Desai. You're muted. Oh, one more time.
I would vote aye.
Okay. Commissioner Torres
Aye.
and acting Chairman Dr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 7 in favor with conditions.
Okay, Mr. Higgins, I think you're done for the day.
Actually, there is
Oh, okay.
one more after for 398 Pacific Avenue, but I think there's a few items before us on the agenda.
I didn't know if you were next or, you could go home. All right, hang tight.
Okay.
Vice Chair, we have Tanya now in
Oh,
the
perfect.
Zoom
Okay.
building.
Hey, Director, how are you? We'll see you later, Mr. Higgins. Okay, so good, thank you. Thanks for joining us. All right, so now that you're here, we'll call case number 9 on the agenda. Case P22-210. This is for the preliminary and final site plan with C variances. Address is 27 to 29 Fayette Avenue. I think we have Mr. Tom Lean on this.
Promoting Tom Lean.
And while we have a second, Tanya, I could just swear you in, so I don't have to do it later. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners. For the record, Tom Lean. Before I start, I just want to quickly make note. Item 619 Marin Boulevard was listed as notice to be carried. We actually didn't notice for that application. We will be noticing for the October 10th meeting, and it will be heard that evening.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
The application before you this evening is located at 2729 Fayette Avenue. It is an application for preliminary and final major site plan with variances. Notice was provided all the way back for the meeting on July 20th, or actually it was July 11th, 2023, and has been carried throughout. So I just want to make sure that council has my affidavit.
Thank you, Council. I'm in receipt of an affidavit of publication, proof of mailing. The affidavit that I have has the June meeting, and I believe we've carried it since June.
I apologize. It has been a while.
Glad we're here. Chairman, for purposes of the record, we can mark the notice as A1. It does appear on its face to be in order, so we can mark it as A1 for purposes of the record.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, counsel. The application before this board this evening is located at 2729 Fayette Avenue. It is located in the R3 district. The property is approximately 50 by 137 feet, so it's 6,850 square feet. It is vacant. It is located at the end of Fayette before it runs into the trucking facility located at the end of Fayette. And it is also across the street from the path tracks. So it is sort of at the end of the road of Fayette. The applicant is requesting a 6-story, 20-unit building. It's a mid-rise building. The R3 allows up to 8 stories. This building is only 6. We are providing 12 off-street on-site parking spaces. And we are utilizing the affordable housing overlay. So that requires 10% of the units on site to be affordable. We are providing 2 in lieu of asking for a deviation for the density. The affordable housing overlay eliminates any density concerns involved with the project. So our client has chosen to utilize that, and we have met with the Office of Affordable Housing, and we'll be entering into an agreement for those units. There are a few variances this evening. They largely relate to the setbacks for the property. our engineer will go into the site conditions and explain how we are giving a portion of the front of the property back to the city to be used as a right of way. And the existing lot lines unfortunately create the conditions that generate a lot of these variances. So with that, I'm going to ask if they have not been promoted, that Guy Lagomarsino, who is our engineer, Mark Campione, who's our architect, Charles Height, our planner, and Lee Klein, our traffic engineer, all be promoted. And I would ask that Mr. Lagomarsino be my first witness.
Okay, thank you, counsel.
Sorry, Tom, there is no Mark in the audience. Would he be under another name? Do you know what he might be?
I believe the name of it is like 434 Studios or something along those lines. Mark, if you can hear, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, it would be helpful.
There you go, Mr. Lean. Any of the professionals associated with the application, just raise your hand so we can get you promoted, please.
All right, we're good.
All right, hi, Guy. I'll swear you in.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Guy Lagomarsino, Lagomarsino.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lagomarsino. It's my understanding that our architect, Mark Campione, is going to share his screen to share the plans for both engineering and architecture.
Yes, we understand that. Yes. I got to be sworn in, no?
I
believe you just were.
You just got sworn in, sir.
No, I mean, as far as my credentials, I've been here.
That was the next step. You're doing really well.
I've been here before.
I appreciate it. You've been here, okay, and your license is current?
Yeah, my license is current.
And in good standing. Okay, so
Yes, in good standing.
you are qualified. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let's jump into it. Basically, we are requesting a few variances, and believe it or not, I have worked on this project for, I think, from the beginning. Wales and Fayette, those are those properties that have been divided up. Those five three-family houses, as well as this has never been developed. In 2010, we've already established most of the utilities on Fayette for the one three-family house that's there just closest to Wales that was built. So that does have utilities there. And if you look now, even on Google Earth as well, the 27 Fayette never was built, but nevertheless, it's right at. It's almost like it looks like it's encroaching onto. There is no sidewalk. It pretty much crosses onto the street. With the fence right at the property line, because it's basically how the street was built. Obviously, across the street is the path, and it doesn't give much of a more of like a total, like it's more industrial where it was, and we're redeveloping it into a residential area. So that being said, right now existing, there's a fence, chain link fence there. We're gonna relocate that and bring that back to the property line, leveling it off with the building just east of there at the same lot line. And if you can go to
Mr. Lagomarsino, let me just stop you right there. Yeah. I don't believe we actually have your plans displayed. I believe what we have up on the screen right now is the survey that Mr. Height has been kind enough to share with us. If you are able to view the screen, if you could just maybe describe the existing conditions you see before you as they relate to to Fayette Place, the property line, and the existing sidewalk that has been built to accommodate the properties to the east of ours.
Yeah, like I said, the properties that to the east of there, which when we did develop it, I guess about 12 years ago, maybe 13, we have a concrete sidewalk abutting up to a fence right now. Then after that is grass. But eventually with the development here, we're gonna allocate a new sidewalk, a new driveway with new curb cuts, which are there, but the curb cuts are actually built in, but I'm sure with all the development, they might have to be reestablished. And of course,
Mr. Lean, Mr. Lean, is this the DAB survey? Can we get a date? Is this what was submitted with the application?
I apologize. Mr. Height is sharing his plans, and it appears that it was a zoomed-in version of the survey, which is on Mr. Lagomarsino's plans, which were submitted.
Yes.
And I believe the survey was submitted separately as well.
That's correct, yes, but it has been transposed onto the set of plans that you're viewing right now.
But this is the January 19th, 2021 survey?
Without being able to view the actual set Mr. Height is utilizing, I cannot confirm that.
Nor can I, but I do like to say I have received a certified survey when I've done my my plans. I prepared them.
And sir, this is your plan that's on the screen?
No, that's not my plan. That is the architect's plan. That being said, we don't need to go too much detail in what plans unless we need to really be specific about the details. But
we do.
Oh, okay.
We do need to be specific about what we're looking at and whose plan it's on and what it is. So,
okay, I mean,
Mr. Height, we do have a survey.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. My apologies. I was trying to be helpful. Give me 1 minute if I can do it. If someone else has it available, I don't know if the architect has the survey available. He might be able to quickly share, but I'll load it at this point in time.
Mr. Lean, perhaps we could have the architect certify the survey utilized on his plan. Is that, we have the architect here?
Mr. Campione, are you, yes. Can we swear him in?
Sure, if you'll raise your right hand, Mark. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Mark Campione, Campione.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And Mr. Campione, you are a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
That's correct.
And you did prepare the plans that were submitted to the board for their review?
That's correct.
Okay, can you please certify that the survey that was provided on your plans is the most up-to-date and provide who prepared it and the date it was prepared?
I have an actual copy here. I could show it to the team if I could share my screen.
Please do.
Wrong drawing. Here's the set of current civil drawings. This is the site plan. Having trouble zooming in. This is the professional engineer. It has a delay here. Has the stamp prepared by the engineer. Okay.
Mr. Campione, I think what we're looking to clarify here is on the architectural plans, there is a survey.
Correct.
that was included. If you could just verify who prepared that survey that you included with your plans and provide the date for the record.
Guy Lago Marzino.
No.
No, Guy is a professional engineer. And we're referring to the plans that were prepared by you, Mr. Campion, not the civil engineer.
It's DAB Surveying Inc.
Okay, and those are so that survey is dated what date?
You know, I'm looking.
So above the DAB, it says January 19th, 2021. That's the property and topographical
19th.
survey that was submitted with the application and is on the data portal.
Correct, January 19th, 2021.
Okay, and that survey was incorporated onto your drawing, sir?
That's correct.
That's as well as my drawings as well. Yes.
As well as your drawings. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so getting back to the utilities and through the connections to this building, because it's a 6-story building, that we are not based upon even the calculations I've done 12 years ago, which was quite intense at the time, dealing with the JCME way, as I can recall, with establishing the connections on Broadway. And they verify that and how we're doing that, because the Fayette is pretty much, there was no utilities here at all at the time. So we have brought utilities here, but there is no pump, obviously, for this building, but they will have to be pumped up to Broadway in a pressurized sanitary line for all the waste. As well, the water is no problem coming around because the city has pressure for water, but the elevation on Broadway is higher than the elevation on Fayette, so that would require a pump system for all waste. Basically, this the drainage system would be collected for the stormwater from the roof to a detention system inside the garage, which would slowly be removed to the street through the pump, obviously to a sanitary pump, but all sanitary leaving the building will be brought through a pump to the street. Now, as far, again, just to reiterate that we've got right now the lot line encroaches onto the city, but we're still going back 11.4 feet from the street line. So the line of the building will line up with the adjacent property. And that is where we're having the variance for, because of that encroachment that is there, that the building is
Celine, can we maybe look at the site plan so that we can?
That is C302, if that would be okay on that. If they can put that up, Mark.
While he's loading that, Mr. Lagomarsino, I just want to be clear on your testimony.
Yes.
Nothing from the applicant's property is encroaching onto the city's right of way. There is a paved portion of the property in front of our client's property, portions of which are designated as a right of way, known as Fayette Place, and portions of which are inside of of the applicant's actual property. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
However, the applicant is maintaining the existing right-of-way line with the neighboring properties that have already been developed in order to continue the existing sidewalk, while portions of their property will remain paved and utilized by the Fayette Place right-of-way.
That is correct.
Okay, if we could just zoom in on that and you could show us where that is exactly on the site plan.
You can
So
say,
council, just to be clear for the record, Fayette Place.
Go one more. That's it. That's it. Keep that.
Portion.
That's it.
Sir, let me speak, please.
Okay.
So the paved portion of Fayette Place encroaches onto the subject property, council? Is that what is being testified to?
Without testifying, I hope what I can do is clarify. I don't think anybody is encroaching on anybody. I think that there is a paved portion of in front of the property, a portion of which is designated as a right of way, and a portion of which is part of my client's property.
Right.
How it's currently utilized, you know, I can't testify to that. I'm sure it's utilized for access in and out of the trucking facility, but there is a portion of the paved area that is actually within the bounds of my client's property, per the survey.
Which is what your engineer was testifying to.
That is correct.
Understood. Let's move on, please.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Lean and Council Lampley. I was a little confused with the presentation. Okay.
And I apologize the little bit of technical difficulty here. I'm hoping that Mr. Campion, by presenting his actual plans and running the show, will be able to make things a little bit clearer.
Thank you.
No, so just in conclusion, I just want to wrap up here that once the developer will do it, do all the construction, they're going to repave that area and upgrade all within the front, and of course do concrete sidewalk and utilize it to make it more look like a residential than more industrial where it looks right now. I think that wraps up. I don't think I have anything else more to state on this subject as far as the encroachments.
Thank you, Mr. Lagomarsino.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Torres. I don't know. It seems with the both drawings, the site drawing and then the architecture, I got a little confused here. I don't know if my question right now should be better answered down the line. So if you don't answer it right now, that's okay. But for Guy, you talked about a pumping system for all this sewage on that property because it pumps up the floodway and that is at a higher elevation as sewage. I don't know if I'm ahead of myself right now, but if I am, just let me know. But what kind of backing system you have set for that pumping station that is in place? Is there going to be another system where we have a situation of like a 100-year storm where there is no electricity for a while, for a long period of time on that pumping station? Or is there any plans for that? Because it's taking the whole building. It's taking all the waste of the building. It's not just doing a gray water system thing. Do you have anything in place for that type of situation?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, JCME Way all the time pumps sanitary water throughout the.
I don't know if JCME has a backup system that would do that in a case of a storm. So I'm asking you if you have something set up. JCA, I'm pretty sure might have something set up where they could back up a storm system on a continuous basis for a long period of shutdown of electrical power.
Well, obviously, there's a 6-story building which will require a generator. The generator won't be allocated to this system, and of course, they're not putting one pump in. They're going to put double, if possibly triple, 3 pumps. If one breaks down, the other one goes, and there will be alarms.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will be alarm. I install them. Pretty sure they're going to have an alarm system on it. I'm pretty sure you might be wise to have a backup pump. That would be sure.
Yes, for sure.
It doesn't guarantee that they're going to do it. It's just a smart way of doing it. I'm just wondering if there's a spot. Is there another power source to it in case as a shutdown in that area for power grid for a long period of time? That's the only question I have.
Okay. No, of course we will.
Okay.
So council, then that will be an acceptable condition that we will have the appropriate amount of pumps with a backup supply for that system?
Yes, it will.
Thank you, council. Is that satisfactory to you, Commissioner Torres?
Yes, the backup system would be satisfactory.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Lagomarsino?
No.
Okay.
Okay, my next witness is Mr. Campion, who is already under oath.
Mr. Campion, did we qualify you?
I believe you have.
Yes, we asked if his license was current and
Yeah,
that he is
I
a.
guess I just never put it on the record. He's qualified. Thank you.
Very good. Well, good evening, everyone. The purpose of this project is to develop the existing vacant lot, as Thomas mentioned, to construct a new 6-story, 20-unit mid-rise apartment building. This is the vacant lot, which proposes our future building. You can see to the east of us, there is an existing 2-story structure, 3-story structure with no windows on one side. To the right of the structure is the industrial development adjacent to us. This was the curb that was described originally. That likelihood would be replaced. Below here shows that the existing building is right up against the curb. All right. So the ground floor we're proposing will provide a residential lobby, mailroom, trash, bicycle rack for 10 spaces, and a parking garage for a total of 12 off-street parking spaces. One is going to be included for a handicap as well. The second through the 6th floors will provide 4 residential units on each floor, containing 2 3-bedroom units, 1 2-bedroom unit, and 1 studio unit. A roof deck is also going to be proposed for the common use of all future residents. All right. So our second floor, as mentioned, to the 6th floor, it's going to house 20 units, 10 3-bedroom units with areas of 1,085 square feet each, and 1,600 square feet each. 5 2-bedroom units having an area of 988 square feet each, and 5 studios with an area of 600 square feet each. Every floor will have 2 3-bedrooms, 1 2-bedroom, and 1 studio. There's also going to be access to the roof deck. We're proposing for all our mechanical equipment and promenade for our residents as well on top. The mechanical equipment will be located at the front and rear portions of the roof deck. The roof deck is going to be located centralized between the buildings so that not much visibility from the street side looking up will be covered. The covering is going to be approximately 2,583 square feet, and it's about 48 feet from the rear of our property line. All right. Proposed materials for our building, we're going to have cementitious fiber cement, which is indicated in this gray area, which is going to be on each side of the side elevations. The front elevation is going to have a cementitious horizontal siding material, sort of like a hardy plank. We're proposing aluminum windows and black aluminum trim coping. All right, here's the proposal of what our window details will look like. This is our side elevation with dimensions, fiber cement siding. This is a section for our building indicating the use of the rooftop unit as a promenade deck for future tenants. We'll have a 4-foot high parapet around the perimeter as a guardrail. Indicated will be 10 bicycle racks on the first floor. Show you that on the first floor. This is the area where the bike racks are proposed. This is where our proposed handicap parking will be. And we have our elevated machine room. We have our gas meter room and our sprinkler room, and also access to the lobby from the street side. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Campion, before we go to the board, just a few. Would you mind going to that first slide you showed that showed the actual pictures of the existing, there we go. Oh.
Existing conditions, yes.
Yes, the actual pictures. There we go. I think this illustrates best what we were explaining through Mr. Lagomarsino's testimony. If you could just provide through those images there an explanation as to what that fence demarcates and what is actually, whether that fence is inside the applicant's property or outside of it.
Mr. Lean, if we could just zoom in on those photographs.
Sure.
So the fence currently is being shown.
Before you, in response to councils, let's explain on the survey as you were about to do, then go back to the photographs and zoom in on them.
All right, so just for clarity purpose, let me look at the survey. So you have the survey that's the fencing that you're looking at now is in front of our building, right? Which
Zoom in
is
a little bit more, but yes, we see that.
it's 6 feet 7 inches. Okay. Going back to the photo, here is the face of our adjacent building that we are aligning to. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes.
So that's the 6 feet 7 inch measurement?
Yes.
Very good.
And then in front of that fence, the property continues for a few feet in the area that is paved, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So here's the property line. I mean, the face of the building.
Now, counsel, just for purposes of clarification, we're proposing to continue that sidewalk as seen in the bottom left photo.
That's correct.
The adjacent property across the front of the proposed development.
That's correct, with a new curb cut to access the driveway.
And that curb will be replaced with a new drop curb for the driveway.
That's correct. All of this will be replaced.
Now, counsel, I guess, sewer pump system that was being described earlier that addresses the JCMUA comments regarding not being able to hook into Fayette Ave because Fayette Ave is not part of the JCMUA system.
I am in receipt of comments from the JCMUA dated February 7th, 2023, which have also been forwarded to Mr. Lago Marcino.
Correct.
And I would ask that he address the comment. I believe that what is maintained here by the JCMUA, I'm uncertain if it refers to the portion of Fayette Avenue located within our property line or the actual street itself, because Fayette Avenue itself is not a private street per the tax maps of the city of Jersey City, nor per our survey. So I'm unclear what they're alluding to here as it being a private street, but I will allow Mr. Lago Marcino to testify as to where the actual connection will occur.
Again.
So counsel, just before we do that, obviously, or perhaps not obviously, but any approval would be subject to the approval of the JCMUA and whatever their comments and concerns are.
That is correct, yes.
What I was unclear of, and maybe the witness can address it, the letter is dated February of 2023. It is September. I thought perhaps there might have been some further conversations.
Guy?
I don't know. Am I on? I can't. The screen is there. I couldn't tell. Okay, so there's been no conversations on this matter. Again, I have addressed these because I've been involved with this project in 2011. I've had numerous meetings with JCMUA, with Rich on this matter, as well as with Rajiv at the MUA in regards to this. The right of way will have a pump station in it, and we will go into the right of way with a new pipe, which most of the pipe has already been in there from Wales going to Broadway. So we really, if there's anything that needs to be brought up here, is a pump station on Fayette, that way. We can put it on the property, but we will have to negotiate, be better to put it on in the right of way where there would not need to be any form of easement for the owners of 27 Fayette for any JCMUA access. That's my recommendation. We went on that. So we wanted to make sure the clarity of this approval of this meeting before we would proceed to them. But again, what was done for Wales and the one building on Fayette, that was approved, that there is piping that will be in the right of way, that they will own, obviously, after it's put in.
That the JCMUA will.
Yes, that's the way it was for the other buildings are there, because there was no plumbing, there was no utilities there at all. That we've put in the piping along the sidewalk of Wales going to Broadway.
Council, what I would say is a few things here. One, we'd obviously be willing to make this a condition that we will continue to work with the JCMUA to ensure that the utility connections are up to their approval, and that we will be supplying the necessary utility connections within the street. Second, we've obviously had a survey in hand for a long time. We've had conversations with the neighbor who owns the trucking plant next to us, and Mr. Lagomarsino has been involved with this project for some time. At no point has any party indicated to us that Fayette itself is a private road. And that's maintained in a review of title, our review of the surveys, and our review of the tax maps of the city. So I'm uncertain what this comment is alluding to, but it is based on our knowledge and our review of this is a public street, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the utilities are connected, similar to the buildings that were constructed within the last few years right next to us.
And council, I can't challenge that. I'm going off, obviously, the JCMUA correspondent from February that claims Fayette is a private street, and that you're going to have to connect somehow to Wales Street. So
sure.
You're gonna have to obviously deal with the JCMUA in that capacity. I thought maybe this information had been further clarified given the passage of time. So
Council, all I can say is it was internally discussed, and based off of Mr. Lagomarsino's representations, we believed we were able to address it, and we believe we'll be able to address it both in compliance and continuing to work with the JCMUA.
But I want to reiterate that this has been addressed at the time when I was in those meetings 12 or 13 years ago at JCMUA, that we've left this open to where we will be installing any of this this pump station here, like we did for the adjacent property. That's there now. So this was pre-planned before. So I don't think they're going to go back on it. Lichin Wan was not there. She was not at the time part of JCMUA. But Rich is still there. So, and Rajiv. So I don't think they're going to change this. So this has been addressed, at least on my end, that I feel comfortable with, that they're not going to be changing their minds.
Yeah, it says Rich Hayes is copied on that correspondence, but it's a little bit baffling to think that, especially your testimony, Mr. Lagomarsino, saying that you've been at this for about 10 years or so, more. And I mean, it seems as if, to Councilor Lampe's point, I mean, they've the MUA has put in writing as of February of this year that they put all caps, not they don't own it or maintain it. So I don't know. I mean, but I hear Council Lean saying that based on his research that it appears to be a public right of way. So who's right?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I would say to you is, again, the developments right to the east of this and next to this property were all developed within the last few years and are occupied buildings that clearly have a utility connection, that either will be extending or will connect to in a similar manner. I think what the actual comment from JCMUA is saying is that this is an issue that will need to be addressed in concert with them. But I don't think it's saying that it's an insurmountable hill to get over, or it's some reason that this project can't move forward.
No, what it actually says is, point 2, connection to any of them is not possible. That's the third sentence, and it says due diligence needs to be done to verify installation options from your property towards our sewer main on Wales Street.
Well, what I'm saying, yes, it's saying that the sewers on Fayette are private, and they connection to any of these is not possible. It's offering an alternative as a connection to Wales Street.
Which is how I read it, counsel, but I don't know how the property next door connects and where it connects. That's
Is there any property on Fire connected to the Wales? Because it seems to me that the MUA, if we could put a condition to clarify it, if it was a privately installed sewer system, and somebody installed a sewer system, but it could be existing, but it doesn't mean it was done to their standards or done to any of those situations, and they're just saying it's not theirs and they don't maintain that one. I think that's pretty clear that they are making that statement. I think a condition stating that once the sewer system is put in and this is clarified from the MUA, then the project can move forward. If it's not clarified, then the project can't move forward.
Like I said, we clarified this, and I have plans.
No, you see, but once again, all due respect, Mr. Guy, you're telling me, but for me, what I'm hearing is you were at meetings 10 years ago, and in 10 years ago, they made it clear to you that this was okay. But right now in front of us, it doesn't seem okay, and it could be just a clerical error, something wrong that somebody didn't put it in writing or something simple, but it's not clear right now though. I know they made it clear to you 10 years ago that it was not a problem, but
so
that this
Council
is
Lane.
Yes.
I think the problem is the February 7th, 2023. And if we could just stop the screen share. I think the struggle is the February 7th, 2023 MUA letter. I think you and I both agree from a legal standpoint that any approval of this body would be conditioned on all other necessary agency approvals, including the JCMUA.
Of course.
So we agree on that. I'm reading this February correspondence, and it's raising more issues and concerns than it's satisfying. I keep hearing about other projects in the area having been worked on for years and years and years. I'm not disputing any of that, but it sounds to me, the way I read this correspondence, that this development has to tie into Wales Street without going into Fayette Avenue. And if it goes into Fayette Avenue, because there's some infrastructure already in Fayette Avenue, that is not owned or maintained by the JCMUA, according to their records. So are we proposing to connect into a sewer main in Fayette Avenue? Is that what's being proposed?
I can't testify directly as to that. I'm going to need Mr. Lago Marcino to do that.
Understood.
What I have just been informed by my client is from the site, there is a direct connection. There's a 2-inch pipe that is going directly from the site to Wales. So there already is a connection from Wales to the actual site. That's what my client just informed me.
I had designed that. I had designed that, and I have plans that I've designed. And I was with those meetings.
There's a 2-inch pipe.
It's 2-inch, but that will be modified, of course, because
What is the 2-inch pipe? Are we talking sanitary?
At the time, this was not going to be a 6-story building.
Okay,
But
okay.
the other adjacent property, we thought we're going to continue there with another 3 families.
But you just said
just one
there's a
second,
2-inch.
Commissioner.
You just said there's a 2-inch pipe, which either is in a water line, because if it's a 2-inch pipe, it is way under the DFUs that will require for any type of sanitary system. So it's not even acceptable. So
we know that. We know that.
Okay, yeah.
Counsel,
So why did you
Counsel,
say?
I don't want to get into argumentative responses back and forth. Okay.
The simple answer here is that we've shown that we can connect to Wales, and it will be upgraded to comply with the water flow necessary from a building of this size. And we will work with JCMUA to make sure that that connection is adequate for the flow needs for this building. And the construction of this building will be contingent upon us working with JCMUA to ensure that the flow levels are acceptable, both for water and sanitary.
So my only question is, your witness is testifying to the sewer connecting to Wales through this 2-inch line that has to be upgraded. How does it get from the subject property to Wales? I just didn't see that on any of the plan. I suspect because it's outside the property line, but I don't know if it goes through private property of another. I'm not following it because I'm not seeing it. Is that fair,
And
counsel?
I cannot
That's good.
cannot testify to that. I need
No,
Mr. Lago-Marcino too.
That will have to be further designed based upon the contingency of this approval. The 2-inch line obviously was undersized at the time because we did not know that. The 2-inch line currently goes along the sidewalk to Wales, and it will pump into that. So there's a lot of contingencies here, but we've worked with JCMUA before. They approved this concept, and of course, a pump station will be. We're looking to be on the street of Fayette, within the under the ground of the street.
So, sir, where is the 2-inch pipe?
No, the 2-inch pipe currently, there's 2-2-inch pipes under that I had designed in the past that come out. Right now with the adjacent property, it comes out into the sidewalk and it goes straight up to Wales, and it connects on Wales, and then there's gravity down to just the middle. I think there's a reach on Wales that reaches the elevation on Broadway. That's the point that it can connect to, and that's what we did in the
So
past.
perhaps this can clarify this for the board.
Mhm.
The property immediately adjacent to the subject property
Mhm. Yes.
is a property of a client of yours?
That was correct when he originally owned all these properties, including this one that he sold off to the current owner.
Okay. And when that property was developed, you were involved in the design of the sewer connection with the JCMUA?
Yes.
And during the development of that, a 2-inch sewer was run under the sidewalk in front of that property up to Wales.
Yes, there were two of them, one for each building and one for each sanitary, because it was a 3-family and a pump, a pressurized pump system can handle a 2-inch pull that distance for a 3-family house, not for a 6.
So the second 2-inch line was for this subject property, but for a 3-family house. Is that what you're testifying to?
Yes, it was a 4-family at the time, but it would have been still under the it was 4-family with 2 bedrooms can be used for in a 2-inch pressurized pump system. It can, yes, but nothing more than a 4-family.
Council Lampe, perhaps we could hear the other two. How many more witnesses do you have, Mr. Lean?
My only other witness I was planning to present in chief was my planner. I do have a traffic expert if there's any questions. However, it does seem that the board has significant issues regarding this item. So I don't know if you prefer that we adjourn to address them with JCMUA or provided the remainder of our testimony and then came back.
Well, to that point, Council, let me direct this to the chair, is that in opening up the storm plan in the package, it says it's for a 5-story building, and there's mention of 4-inch pipe. And it's unclear to me how it goes out to Fayette Place or if it does. So yes, Councilman, I think it may be better because you know what, even if you got the approval tonight, which and you're saying with the condition that it'd have to get squared away with the MUA, you're still gonna have to wait. So right?
To Commissioner Lipsky's point, that was where I was going. I just wanted to kind of move it along because I feel personally that Mr. Lagomarsino's testimony was more confusing than I think it should have been I'm just speaking personally. It just really confused, my kind of thought on this. And now that all these issues have arisen, I think that the board, and I'm not speaking for them, I'm speaking for myself. I'm a little bit more confused. I need more answers. So, I'm the acting chair today, and I'll of course defer to the board for them to chime in and see what they want to do. And of course, with the guidance of our counsel, who's brilliant at this, to guide us through it. But yeah, I just, at this point, for me, going through more testimony, I think is probably not going to clear things up. And it's going to just add more confusion. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
Chair, I concur with your statement there as well. I'm very confused, and there's more question and needs more answer and accurate answers as well.
And I'm gonna agree too. I think we got to go back to the statement in the MUA. It's not saying that there's not pipes there. It's not saying that there is. It could be 2-inch. You look at the storm line. There could be an 8-inch pipe with a manhole there. What they're saying is not theirs, and they do not maintain it. That's what they're saying. Our council saying that the road is not a private road, it's a public road. So I think with those questions in mind, if we could get that clear, and if the MUA says, I don't want a 2-inch pipe and we got to upgrade it, I guess you could upgrade it with something that they would maintain and be acceptable to their standards. Then let's find out these answers first. I think before we move forward.
Well, to that point, Commissioner, I would absolutely agree in reference point 4 on that letter dated February 7th, where it says, please analyze the existing sewer on Wales Avenue to determine that the new development will not have an adverse effect. So they're not saying that it's impossible to connect the new project with Wales, but they're saying do an analysis of the existing situation. And that report must be submitted by licensed engineer, Mr. Lagomarsino, and that must consider existing sanitary and storm flows. The storm flow report that I just referenced says 5-story building, so that needs to get updated for connected properties and proposed flows for your development. So with that, I would certainly accept Council Lean's humble gesture to go back to the drawing board, dust this, tuck this up a little bit and come back with more robust and simpler and clearer presentation.
Commissioner, I agree with you on that. I totally agree. I think we're dealing with a lot of confusion here. I did like the idea of Commissioner Torres as far as a generator. As a backup, if this thing has to be pumped, I just feel we need total more clarity on what we're dealing with between the road, the sewers, the 2-inch line. That's the way I feel.
Thank you, Commissioner Stamato. Okay, I mean, I'll defer to Council Lampe for some guidance.
So, Chairman, I have no issue with anything that the board has said and the comments the board has made. I feel that I was a little confused on the testimony, which caused further questions, but it has gotten us to a good place. And Council Lean, I'm understanding, and I could be wrong, and I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong, but I'm understanding that the plan is to traverse the adjacent property. And I'm understanding that at one point in time, all of these lots were under common ownership. And so 10 years ago, the plan was, we're going to run the sewer from the property to Wales with the thought that it was all owned and controlled by one individual. So there was no issue with going through someone else's property. It was the same person's property. And it doesn't sound like there was any formal documentation to provide for those rights. But if it comes out in the wash that, no, what are you talking about? We have an easement. Yes, when the infrastructure went in, we put in a 2-inch line, but the reality is we were going to develop a 4-family. Now we're going to develop a 6-story building. We got to upgrade that to a 6-inch line with a pump, et cetera, et cetera. And the applicant is actually going to propose that. I don't see an issue, and I see a path forward. But I think we're missing those key facts.
I don't disagree. I think there's one of two responses we're going to come back with. One, there was some understanding about how this property would be served as it's developed and as the properties came down FIAT, or we're going to determine that there was some sort of error or misunderstanding on JCMUA's part about whether that is a private or a public road. And I think I can say with almost certainty that it is absolutely a public road. It's on the zoning map, on our tax maps, per our survey, per my conversations with JD Trucking next door, who uses it as a main artery to their property and makes no claim as to it being a private right of way. In all those conversations, no one has raised to me that, no, this is actually a private road, Mr. Lane. So we're going to come back to this board with further clarity. I apologize for the confusion this brought up, but it is clearly something we need to resolve internally and make sure it's very clear to the board how this property will be serviced.
Thank you, Mr. Lean. Chairman, in light of Mr. Lean's comments and requests, I think it's appropriate to entertain a motion to carry the matter. Mr. Lean, do you believe that you'll have these answers by October 10th? Do you want to carry to a date a little further down the road, but certain?
I would prefer to keep this on for October 10th. If we do not have those answers about a week out, I will inform the planning department. We will request that they carry it further, and then we will renotice.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Lean.
Mr. Lean. I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to carry case P 22-210 to October 10th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Okay. We'll just take a vote, roll call.
Acting Vice Chair Gongadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Cruz,
You're muted.
last to unmute.
Commissioner Cruz, you are muted.
I hear you now. Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Dr. Desai.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Lipsky.
Yeah, as we saw in an earlier application this evening, how an application was approved and there was some question or error to it, but came back bigger and better. That's what we're hoping here, so I vote aye.
All right, Commissioner Stamato. The mic didn't catch it. One more time.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Torres
Aye.
and Acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All in favor to carry.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you, council.
I think it's time for break, guys. Or where's Mike? He's like, all right, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 7:31.
Great.
that Don Pepe?
Good evening, council.
How are you, sir?
Now, you don't want to know.
I'm dying to know, but I don't want to ask.
I'll call you tomorrow. It's a long story.
Aren't the good ones usually are?
Mr. Pepe, it's great
Good
to see
evening.
you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, let me just gather the troops here. I think they're slowly coming on. And you are our next applicant, I guess. Yes, sir. Just give 2 minutes here, so 2 seconds. We have everyone, right? Okay. All right, I'll go, let's reconvene the meeting. I'm calling case number 14 on the agenda, case P2. Is that can somebody help me with that, Cameron? Is that right number there? Just a P23, right?
I know we have a new number.
2023-0006.
Okay.
Yes, that,
correct. Okay.
that is.
Perfect. Just confirming. That seemed like the abnormal number. So this is case P2023-0006 for a preliminary and final major site plan with C variances. Address is at 421 Central Avenue. And Mr. Pepe, you're
Well,
on.
good evening, Acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Donald Pepe. I'm with the law firm of Scarinci Hollenbeck. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Bellerini Central Avenue, Ray LLC. The property location is 421 Central Avenue. It's block 2805, lots 29 and 30. Those are assemblage lots, so they are currently 2 existing separate lots that the applicant acquired. What's being proposed here this evening is a ground floor restaurant with residential above 10 units. Those are permitted uses. We are seeking 2 variances with respect to minimum lot area and lot depth. But again, as an assemblage, those 2 conditions are being improved as compared to existing conditions. You'll hear more about that. We're in the neighborhood commercial district. We've met with the local SID and Councilman Soleil, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on one of the requests that the SID wanted later. But we did in general get their blessing in order to proceed with the project. I have 2 witnesses tonight, Ahmed Amara, who's the project architect, and Mark Lieber. I think I'll start with Ahmed, who can take us through the project. Before I do so, Santo, Council, we did provide notice package to you. We originally noticed for the 9/5 meeting. It was carried with preservation to tonight. I'd submit that the board has jurisdiction.
Thank you, counsel. I'm in receipt of your affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the property at 421 Central Avenue. I've had the opportunity to review it. It does appear to be in order, and the matter has been carried from prior meetings. So with that, we are going to mark it as A1 for purposes of the record.
Thank you, Council.
So Ahmed, if you want to share your screen, but while you're doing so, you've appeared before this board previously, correct?
I have.
Do you want to swear him?
I do, thank you. Do you swear any testimony you get tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, can you spell your name, please?
Sure. First name Ahmed, Ahmed, and last name is Amara, Emara.
Thank you.
One second.
Your license is current?
Go ahead, Mr. Cruz. Commissioner
sorry.
Cruz.
Yes.
I'm part of the SID, Central Avenue.
So you want to recuse on the matter, Commissioner?
Recuse, yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Cruz is a member of the SID and has a conflict on the application and is recusing himself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We can go ahead with the qualifying of.
No, thank you for doing that. I couldn't hear Mr. Commissioner Cruz. Mr. Amara, your license is current and in good standing?
It is.
Okay, sir, you are qualified.
Thank you. And I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know when you see it.
Looks good, Ahmed.
Okay. So the matter before you tonight is 421 Central Avenue. This is a rendering of the proposed building. Sorry, just so there you go. This is the rendering of the proposed building. I'll take you through the presentation and then I'm happy to answer any questions. This is the location of the building and location of the site, Central Avenue and South Street. It's on the corner right there. Once again, these two buildings are the buildings that we are combining and turning into a bigger building here. This is the corner building. These images just to sort of situate everyone to where it is. Couple of more rendering overall aerials. And then let me explain what the zoning is. As Don has mentioned, the project is in the neighborhood commercial district. We're on the corner right there of Central and South. This is the zoning chart for the project that was submitted. We are requesting two variances, as Don has mentioned. One is the minimum lot area permitted is 2,500 square feet, and we have 2,375. So this is the first variance or the first design waiver. And then the second one is minimum lot depth permitted is 100 and proposed is 95. It is important to mention that those were two separate lots. Combining them does improve the condition. This is a site plan of the building and a roof plan. The site plan shows the residential entrance on South Street and the commercial entrance off of Central Avenue. We have a commercial space on the ground floor and the residential area is pushed towards the back. It's important to mention that we're showing 4 trees as an improvement. One of them, which is the one on Central Avenue, we've been asked by city engineering to remove it as it's too close to the corner and also doesn't leave enough space on Central Avenue. So we will comply with that in the compliance with the compliance plans. And there's also possibility of eliminating a second tree, which would be the one all the way to the back because of utilities running underground there. But that is something that we're happy to work with planning on before we make that change. This is a plan of the cellar. The gray is the residential portion of the cellar and the pink is the commercial portion. On the ground floor, we do have the restaurant that's proposed here. The front, this is the main entrance of the restaurant, and then we have the lobby for the residential entrance off of the back. It's a more private towards the back of the building on South Street. These are the typical floor plans. As you will notice, and I'll explain this in a few, we have this notch out of the building here. This is to meet the building rear yard setback, which is in accordance with the new ordinance. I'll explain that in a few, like I mentioned. We have our units laid out along South and Central. We have a 1 bedroom in the front, a 1 bedroom in the back with a studio in the middle. On the 4th and 5th floor, we have a 1 bedroom and a 2 bedroom. We do have a roof deck for the building with some green roof trays, green roof area. Everything is set back from the building front from the property line and the building facades for safety, but also for visual distancing. And then we have this diagram here to explain the setback. So this is the setback here that is required, and we do meet it. And I believe the idea here, and Cameron can explain this better than me, being the planner, that eventually when all the zoning, basically if all these buildings were to be redeveloped with the new zoning, you would end up with pretty much, I want to say, a donut shape with a big open space in the middle here, which is a good idea. So this would be what's required for a corner building. This allows the street facade and street wall here to be continuous for the corner building. So you can have a continuous wall here, a continuous hall here, versus what was happening before, where you would have a building maybe running back to here, and then you would have a gap, and then continuing with more buildings. In terms of the design, this building is talked to the historic department, and it was told, basically we worked with Maggie O'Neill from historic, according to keep to basically have sort of the idea of the building here be reconstructed. So as you can see, this section here in red matches this section here in red. This is the end of the extent of the building. We are also having a storefront at the bottom, which matches this idea here. And then the yellow is the addition on top, which is a clear distinction between this sort of more traditional material brick and then a more contemporary design above. The window proportions we're very adamant about matching those and keeping the same ideas of the sill and the head right here. And then we do have the cornice here. So what we did do is we did uncover, we removed the vinyl cornice here to see what's under it. What's under it is a damaged cornice, but we are reconstructing something that looks like it in black right here.
And Ahmed, just for the record, these are conditions that that the Historic Commission asked us to incorporate, correct?
Correct, and they did ask us to incorporate that, and we worked with their office, on making sure that what we're building here, Don, I don't want to say matches, but as much as possible works with the same spirit and concept of what was there before.
But I'm sorry, also, just to be clear, this isn't in a historic district, and it's not a historically significant building, but nevertheless.
Correct. Because of the cornice, once we uncovered this and we looked at it, the design is a unique design, but it was all damaged and it was a very bad condition. So we did work out with them, as you mentioned, correct.
Thank you.
So moving forward, this is the idea here of keeping this brick building and adding something on top happens actually several times on Central Avenue. It just so happens that this is actually one of our buildings as well. So we were keeping in line with the overall design and spirit here on Central Avenue. These are the building elevations, and you'll see in here what I was mentioning about the original sort of footprint of the building ends here, and then we have a clear distinction of the glass and the material coming all the way down to the ground, and then the building continues in the back. The other two sides are basically stucco blank facades. They're property line facade elevations where windows are not permitted. The materials that we're proposing are brick, precast lintels, and black aluminum metal panel, which would be also for the storefront here, up here, and then we have the glass windows. These are the enlarged elevations to just give you a little more detail of what's being proposed. Sections of the building and the overall height. And these are the units that are being proposed. This is the corner units where we put the bedroom on a little more private side and opening up the corner for the living and dining space. This is the studio unit. This is one of the two bedroom units that we have.
They might get my application, so I'll drop it.
Go ahead.
Okay. So as you come in, this is a big living dining space. The bedrooms are set to one side for privacy. And we do have a component here that we wanted to add into the units of a home office area, which I think you'll see in the renderings at the end. I think I really like that idea, since more and more of us are working from home, at least on hybrid basis. We did do the shadow study that was that is, requested and also required. And as you can tell, the shadows of the building don't add anything to the shadows of the existing area. This is the shot that you saw in the beginning, and this is the shot in the back, and you can see the home office component being in the back. I think that concludes it for me, Don. I'm open to any questions from any of the commissioners.
Before we get there, Ahmed, two things I just want to bring to everyone's attention. We did receive a planning memo dated 9/11, and we're willing to comply with the terms and conditions set forth in that memo, correct?
Yes.
One of the items that was called out in the engineering memo indicated that we needed to obtain a franchise agreement. With respect to that memo, I'd just like the flexibility to discuss that with planning staff and engineering staff to their mutual satisfaction, because I'm not entirely certain that a franchise is called for here. But if necessary, we would of course agree to do so. Now, you attended the SID meeting with me, correct? Ahmed?
I did not. Jorge did.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry,
sick that
Jorge
day.
did.
I was sick that day. Yes.
Just, yeah, you're right. I forgot. Just
I attended the meeting with Councilman Saleh.
Yeah. For the record, there is a walk-up window proposed for this building, correct?
Correct.
The retail restaurant portion?
Yes, correct.
Now, it was very important to the SID that not be a point of sale, because they were concerned about milling and also potential garbage if people were ordering and receiving their food there. I just want to stipulate for the record, which is something that the SID asked us to do, that this will be a pickup window for when the dining room is closed. It will not be a point of sale, and it will be used exclusively for DoorDash, Uber Eats, things like that. Customers, patrons would not be able to go up to this window, place an order, and take it out.
And to substantiate that, there is no register, for lack of better terms, close to that window or by that window. It's actually, inside the store. That is only a pickup point, correct?
Okay, I have nothing more for Ahmed.
Thank you, council. Anyone, council, commissioners, any questions for Mr. Amara?
No.
Anyone? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Amara. That was thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. So I do have our civil engineer / planner. I don't think there's much for Mark to talk about from a civil engineering perspective unless the board has any questions, but I would ask him to provide the justification for the two variances that we're seeking.
Okay, thanks, council.
Mark.
I'll swear you in.
Yeah.
You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, can you spell your name, please?
Yes, Mark with a C. Last name is Lieber, L-E-B-E-R.
Thank you.
And Mr. Lieber, we've qualified you in the past?
Yeah, I've been before this board as recent as this year.
Perfect. And your license is current and in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir, you are qualified.
So, you heard the bulk of the testimony about the location, the block and lot, the existing conditions and what's proposed. Essentially what you have here is a property in the NC Neighborhood Commercial Zone District, where the use that's proposed is totally permitted. The only issues we have are the lot is somewhat undersized. We're deficient by about 5%. We need 2,500 square feet. Unfortunately, the configuration that we have to work with is 2375, and we have to have a minimum lot depth of 100 feet where we only have 95 feet. Being a corner lot, we have two neighbors. We have our neighbor to our left on Central. We have the neighbor behind us on South. But there's no other land available for this application to bring this lot into conformance. So it's somewhat of a hardship to develop the corner and not being able to increase our lot size. But after considering the architectural plans and what's proposed for this lot, being that it's a vast improvement to this corner, I would opine that we're not violating the traditional requirements of air, light, and open space. I don't think that this is out of character with the neighborhood. I definitely don't think we're introducing anything that would be either a nuisance or incompatible. As you know, Central Avenue is a major commercial thoroughfare. And I think that these two existing nonconformities are, with all due respect, not really perceptible. Nobody driving by is going to say, oh, this lot is 5 feet deficient in the depth, or, you know, a couple of square feet deficient in the lot area. I really don't think there's any detriment posed to either the zone plan or the surrounding community due to those two items. I think the redevelopment of the corner far outweighs any detriments, and I think it's a tremendous benefit.
Thanks, Mark. And just for the record, again, we're combining two lots that each would have been substantially more deficient with respect to the lot area and the depth requirements, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, nothing more.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lieber? Anyone? Okay.
Thank you. That concludes my my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Rebe. Awesome. All right. At this point, I think we'll open it up for to the public. And I see a couple hands already raised. This is for case P2023-0006. We need you to unmute if you can. And turn
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, Benit. Are you able to turn your video on? There we go. I
Yes.
see
Hi.
you and I hear you. I just want to swear you in before you speak, okay? If you could raise your right hand.
Sure.
Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name and give us your home address, please?
Sure. 119 South Street, Unit 2.
And your name, can you state and spell it?
Sure. First name is Benit, spelled V for Victor, I-N-E-E-T. Last name is Duda, D-U-T-T-A.
Thank you.
Mr. Duda, you have 3 minutes for us, okay?
Sure. I just had a quick question. Mine's mostly around the shadows. I'm pretty much the neighbor behind this building on South Street, and I was just wondering how that would kind of impact us. I might have missed that in the earlier part of the presentation.
Ahmed, can you field that
yes.
answer? I believe the testimony on the record was we won't be exacerbating the condition with respect to your property as compared to what's existing today. But
Okay, so there's not going to be any impact, you're saying, in terms of like shading or taking away sunlight from my unit. Is that fair to say?
Mr. Dutta, what I testify to, and yes, it's fair to say that the shadows casted based on the new building would not exacerbate what's the condition of the condition today, correct?
Got it. Okay. That's my primary question.
And we also did, I can bring up the shadow study, we did it on all sides and it shows what's being added and what's not.
Okay. No, that was my primary question I had.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Duda. Appreciate you. Okay, can we have one? There you go.
Hi, Brian. I just want to swear you in now this time. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you gave is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name and give us your home address, please?
Yes, my name is Brian. It's spelled B-R-Y-A-N. And my last name is Solarski, spelled S-O-L-A-R-S-K-I. My home address is 119 South Street, Unit 1.
Thank you.
Mr. Solarski, you've got 3 minutes.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. The first one was the yellow building that's behind it. You can see it in the plans. I believe you guys own that property as well. I was just wondering what's going to happen with that in relation to it, because I don't think it was mentioned. And then my other one was regarding the Taco Bell. There's multiple restaurants, local Mexican restaurants in the area, which I think would be a concern to bring a franchise in. I don't think it's congruent and is detrimental to the area. There's one across the street, there's one 2 doors down. And also my concern is in regards to the way it's laid out. You have it running the length of it, the longest part of it is going to run up South Street, a residential property area, not zoned for commercial. And then you're gonna have a window in the back, which is gonna create tons of people coming in and out. And it's gonna create ruckus. It's a residential street, residential area that you are now putting a commercial property in. If it was just the storefront on Central, I would understand that it's part of the commercial, but to encroach into the residential, I think should be taken very seriously. I think that as someone who lives behind it, we're going to see a significant impact of noise, people coming, going, especially with it being a fast food place. It's not a restaurant where you're going to have diners. You're going to have a lot of turnover, a lot of people picking up, and it's going to stay open much later than a normal restaurant. It's going to heavily impact the street of South Street. And just to close, I would say that I don't think there's any other places along Central that have that kind of layout going, where you have a commercial late night fast food place going up into a residential area.
So Brian, I can address a couple of those and then we'll turn over to Ahmed. The Central Avenue Business District has limits on the hours of operation, so this won't be a late night proposition. I believe it's midnight, or maybe it's 11 is the latest they can go, but we're going to comply with the hours of operation requirements that the city has imposed, number one. Number two, the entrance to the Taco Bell, to the restaurant, is on Central Avenue. The fact that it goes back deeper is no different than the condition that's there right now, because it's only on the inside. We're not having another, usable taco. I don't know if there's an emergency access in the back, but it is not our intention to have customers entering through the side street. That's just not what's being proposed. The smaller yellow building at the back, it's actually incorporated into this whole presentation, this whole proposed project. So both of those buildings, the one up front on Central and the one behind it, the yellow, they're both going to be replaced with what you saw here this evening. The use is permitted in the zone, and it is not subject to the formula retail requirements that the city has imposed in certain areas, particularly in the downtown and other redevelopment areas. So the use is permitted and consistent. This particular client operates a number of these facilities. This is not a nationally owned facility. This is a facility that's owned by an individual who owns several others, and he has other Taco Bells that have operated successfully in the area, and I believe possibly even in the city.
Just two things. Can I get clarification on where the pickup window is? I believe in the presentation it said it will be in the back along that side on South Street, correct?
So can I, so hi, Brian, it's Ahmed, I'm the architect. Let me share my screen real quick because I understand your concerns and I just want to address them and make sure that we're on the same page. Of course. So this is the storefront that you're referring to. It goes back approximately 20 feet from Central Avenue. The building is 95 feet deep. So I want to say at least another 45 feet deep to if not 50 feet after that is basically this area that you're looking at here. There is this solid brick wall here before you have the separation, complete separation here with the metal. And then this glass that you're looking at here, Brian, this is actually the residential entrance. So what we've done, because I am very aware of the concern that you have, and I lived in Jersey City for years of my life, so I understand. So the commercial is actually, while the space itself goes deep into the site, but that's, like Don said, it's the condition on almost every single lots here, because it's the building block in Jersey City is the 25 by 100. So most of them will go back 50, 60, 70, 80 deep, which is typical. But the area that's actually being exposed here, as I mentioned, is about 20, 25 feet of storefront. The entrance for the Taco Bell, Brian, is only on Central Avenue. This entire area here is pushed back and purposely designed to be more private, more serene, more quiet for neighbors like you and people on the street in general. And then the residential entrance, like I mentioned, is on South Street. Now, if I address your question specifically about the pickup window, the pickup window is right next to the commercial entrance on Central Avenue. It's right here. So if I go back to plan, just give me a second, I'm sorry. It is right here next to the commercial entrance. So all of the commercial activities are happening on Central Avenue, nothing on South Street. Again, you can see here that the glass goes back to almost, past midway of the store, and then the store continues, and then the lobby for the residential entrance is on the back. So I totally understand your concern, but I think that the way we designed it with your concern in mind. The zone is the neighborhood commercial zone, just to be precise with that. So the use is permitted. There's no issue with the use. I understand that the side streets off of Central Avenue are primarily and predominantly residential uses, and that's why we chose to put the residential entrance towards the back of the building, so along South Street. And as I mentioned, all the commercial activity is happening on Central Avenue. This is nothing more than just a glass facade that doesn't go more than halfway of the building, so about 45 feet total. And then you have another 45 feet, like I mentioned, of this area here, solid, and then the residential. I'm not sure if I answered all of your questions. If you have something else that you wanted to.
I think you did, Mr. Amaro. That was very thorough. Thank you.
I appreciate you clarifying about the window. Sorry if I misunderstood. Could you? I do have a question.
Larsky, you're running out of time here. We only give 3 minutes. You have one more question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to clarify because I think that my question was misunderstood. In regards to the yellow building in the back, because you said it was a part of this building, and then in your slide, you see where the yellow line is. You still see the yellow building separate from it.
I do think that's a mistake in the rendering. That building should be part of it. Yes, it's going up the full 95 feet. Yes.
So if that's the case, and you're putting a 5-story building right there, I would believe that since there's a 3-story building there, is much larger. I believe that would absolutely impact the light on the building next to it, which is you're saying it will not.
You're not saying light. You're talking about shadows, correct?
Shadows.
So the shadows that are casted today are covering the building next to us. The shadows that we would cast would be covering the building next to us. There would be no exacerbation of the shadows. So whatever is happening today is gonna keep happening, whether it's on Central Avenue, whether it's on South Street, whether it's on the back of the property towards deeper onto South Street.
Okay. I find that very hard to believe. I also think
I think what you're asking is if you're 3 or 4 units down, am I going to get more shadow? But if you're the building next to us, which is right next to that, the shadows that are covering your building are not going to change.
Okay, I find that hard to believe.
Listen, I'm glad to. I'll be happy to send the presentation to you if you'd like.
And also saying a Taco Bell's not a franchise, frankly, is ridiculous. I mean,
it's just
irrelevant to the application, sir. It's not relevant.
They're trying to get around having to apply for a franchise, correct? By saying it's not a franchise when it is.
We are not talking about the same thing.
How? Mr. Solarsky, yeah, thank you guys. Okay. I do see Mr. Vineet Dutta on there again. We only have you can only speak on an application just once. So I'm not sure if it's somebody else using that name, but we can't call you on the same application. All right, the next person, please.
Mr. Pepe, could you clarify the franchise agreement that was misunderstood by the last speaker?
Sure. The metal awning that contains the Taco Bell signage that you saw on the renderings, that extends a tiny bit out from the facade of the building, which may or may not encroach into the city's right of way. And as an alternative, we may seek to recess it so that it doesn't. I mean, I think we're talking about a matter of inches. That's why I asked for the flexibility to work that out. So when you encroach into city property, you have to ask the city council for what's called a franchise.
Because you're encroaching into city property, there has to be an agreement. It is referred to as a franchise agreement. It is between the property owner and the city to permit the encroachment of the projection, usually an awning of something that nature, a stair, a stoop, etc., into the city's sidewalk, right of way, etc., etc.
Correct, correct. And in fact, the proposed awning extends lesser into the city's right of way than does the existing awning.
Thank you, Mr. Pepe.
Thank you, Mr. Pepe. Yeah.
All right, hello, ma'am. I'm just gonna swear in before you speak. If you could raise your right hand. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name and give us your home address, please?
It'll take the full 3 minutes. Philippia Thanasiu Vardstra, Philippia Athanasiou Vartstra, and I live at 99 Sherman Place.
Thank you.
Ms. Vardstra, you have 3 minutes, but they don't start until now, so don't worry about the long.
Sounds great. Based on the last interaction, I'm not sure if this is the right meeting to bring this up, but I figure I'd stay on anyway. Just wanted to also state that, whether there's anything to be done about the consideration of Taco Bell versus a different establishment. Is that the right meeting to bring this to, or is there another forum where we can discuss this as kind of like the community wishes for the space?
So it is not, and this body does not get into the classifications. Commercial is permitted, the use is permitted. We don't get into what it actually is in terms of Taco Bell, Burger King, Mom's Deli, whatever. That is not this board's charge.
Okay, that is my question then. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Vardstra. Okay, I do have Mr. Dutta still on. Council Lampe, what do we bring him up, or I just kind of announced we don't have another, you can't speak on the same one.
No, if he already gave or spoke his 3 minutes, he is not permitted to speak again.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? Is there anyone else from the public to speak on this application?
Chair, seeing no one else from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
Second.
Okay. Public is closed. And Mr. Pepe, before we have planning say anything else you want to add?
No, just thank you all for your time, and I'd ask you to vote favorably on the application.
Thank you, sir. And we have, who's this? Cameron.
Hey, okay. Good evening, everyone. So planning staff has heard the testimony of the professional planner that the applicants provided, and we concur that the variances that are being asked here can be permitted under the C1 and C2 justification for C variance relief. So with that out of the way, I will have to ask that you agree to an additional condition, which is already a bit covered under our forestry standard compliance condition, but we're going to have to ask that you communicate with Michael, our forester, on the either relocation of those trees or the payment in lieu of, whichever one he sees to be fit. So on my planning staff memo dated September 11th, I'm just going to have to add a 7th condition that you communicate with Mike on the payment in lieu of or relocation of those trees. But in addition, the objectives and goals of the neighborhood commercial zone will be met through the build out of this lot with the parameters that have been presented to us tonight. So planning staff sees that this is an appropriate use the applicant has shown how it won't have any adverse impact to air, light, and space, or jeopardize the public's general health, welfare, or well-being. And it's offering improvements with historic aesthetics that you know, quite frankly, they aren't required to incorporate. So we're getting a you know, more aesthetically pleasing, and it's paying respect to the history of the Central Ave here. And there will be sidewalk improvements, and yeah, so without running my mouth anymore, planning staff recommends approval.
Mr. Black, your additional condition is absolutely acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
And so, Chairman, just to reiterate, it is a minimum lot depth. 95 is what it is, 100 is what's required. And it goes without saying in our area of the law that when you don't have that depth, the lot itself then becomes quote unquote undersized by the 125 square feet minimum, with no possibility of purchasing any other land to make a conforming lot. That's the relief being sought. The use, the height, the apartments, the restaurant use, all of that is permitted in the zone.
Okay. Thank you, counsel. And then I just want to reiterate that the pickup window as a condition of our approval will not be a point of sale.
Thank you, Mr. Rebbe. Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P2023-0006 as presented to the board this evening for approval, together with staff recommendation and conditions.
Second it.
Okay, motion
All
made.
right. Acting Vice Chair Gongadin.
I want to thank the public for coming out this evening to voice their concerns, and I hope their questions were answered. I believe that the variance requested is in line with the goals and objectives of the master plan, and so my vote would be yes.
Okay, Commissioner Lipsky.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Stamato.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Dr. Desai. Okay. Commissioner Torres.
Aye.
Okay. And lastly, Acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6 in favor, 1 recusal with conditions.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Thank you.
All right, before I call my next case up, I'm just reminding everyone that we have a hard stop today at 9 p.m., which is 45 minutes from now. So just letting you know to kind of look at where you're at on the dais, agenda, and let us know if you want to, if you want to hang in there. All right, next case is P23-045. This is for conditional use. Address is 398 Pacific Avenue. And Mr. Higgins, welcome again.
And everyone, I only have one witness this evening. That's Alan Feld, our architect. I don't know if he's in the audience and we can promote him.
He's in there, but he has to raise his hand.
He's being promoted.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Michael Higgins of Castano Quigley and Cherami on behalf of the applicant here, Hazy Harvest LLC. I'd like to confirm first that the board has received proof of our notices.
Thank you, counsel. I am in receipt of the affidavit of publication proof of hearing for 398 Pacific Avenue here in the city. I have had the opportunity to review it. It was originally scheduled back in September and carried through this evening with preservation of that notice. It does appear to be in order. We're going to mark it as A1 for the record.
Thank you, counsel. So this is a Class 5 cannabis retailer license. It's located at 398 Pacific Avenue. This is identified as Block 19001, Lot 22, and it's in the Lafayette Park redevelopment area. Retail is a permitted use in that area, so cannabis would be conditionally permitted or under the new zoning permitted use entirely. And we've met all of the conditions for that use. We have a resolution. We've gone through the Cannabis Control Board, and resolution was issued under application number CCB-23-46. So I guess I'll just move right into Alan's testimony. He can walk the board through the plans. If we could get him sworn in.
Hi, Alan. I'll swear you in if you can raise your right hand. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Alan Feld, F-E-L-D.
Thank you.
Mr. Foster, I know you've been in front of us many times. Is your license still current and in good standing?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, sir, you're qualified. Thank you. May go on.
Thank you.
Okay, Alan, can you share your screen? And
I'm going to try.
if you can't, I can always jump in and help out. I think it should be a green button on the bottom of your screen, Alan.
Yeah, I pushed that. Oh,
Mr. Perhaps you want to share yours, perhaps?
I can just share it if it's easier, yeah. I think I need to be, oh, there it is. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Okay, Alan, so just direct me as you want to walk through it, and I'll flip through the pages.
okay, I'm trying to get rid of it. Yes, thank you. So, on the left of the screen, we have the site plan for this property. The site is 25 by 100. There's an existing 3-story building. And to the right of that site plan, whoops, is the elevation of this property. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. And it shows the only improvement we'll be making to the facade is a new sign over the entrance to the cannabis dispensary. The building itself has a commercial space on the ground floor and 2 apartments up above. There is no other, as you can see from the photograph below, there's no exterior work to be done. This building has been renovated a couple of years ago, and so there's no improvements required on the exterior of the facade, again, except for the new signage. The new signage is conforming with the requirements of the zone. We also have the project data on the lower left corner, and the existing building complies with all the required yard and bulk requirements in the Lafayette Park redevelopment district. And going to the second page. Again, the building was renovated recently, and the ground floor really is a vanilla box presently. There's just really an open space. There's a raised section at the rear and an ADA toilet at the back, and a rear access to the rear yard. So the proposed renovation of this space would be providing for this cannabis dispensary, which is really as a retail occupancy. There's a checkout counter in the front. There's a display counters towards the rear. And then behind the separated is the storage area with a kitchenette area, the bathroom, and the office at the rear. And the refuse would be stored at the rear porch and brought out daily at the rear. Again, the interiors will be all completely upgraded and renovated to reflect the new use of the space, and we just show the lighting plan to highlight some of the improvements that would be done to the space. Again, there's no additions, there's no extensions. It's all work within the existing ground floor space. That's all I really have to say.
Okay, thank you, Alan. I'll stop my screen share. That does conclude our direct testimony. I'll just note again to the board that we have gone through the Cannabis Control Board and have addressed concerns related to security, noise, odor, etc. But we're happy to answer any questions if the board would like to go into that. I also have reviewed the staff report dated June 5th, 2023, prepared by Matt Ward, and the conditions included in that report are acceptable to the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Do we have any questions for Mr. Feld? Anyone?
Yeah, I have a question on just basically the sign itself. It's not the sign is not lit up with lights or anything like that, is it? Or any lights on the sign or on behind the sign?
We're going to have downlights projecting onto the sign itself. It's not going to be backlit. It'll be front lit.
So I guess then it'd be would be okay to have a condition that it's only on when the establishment is open. So in the evening when it's closed, the lights be shut off. We normally ask about signs, lights on signs anyway.
Yes, Commissioner Torres, I have no issue with that as a condition that the sign only be lit during operating hours for the
Yes.
Yeah.
That I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres. Anyone else? All right.
No.
That concludes your testimony, Mr. Higgins, your presentation?
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right. I'll open it up to the public now. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this case, P23-045? Please raise your hand.
Mr. Chair, seeing no members of the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
Second.
Okay, the public is now closed then. And who has this?
Acting Chair, I'll be taking this
Okay,
one. Francisco was the lead planner on this, but I have reviewed the staff memo and the application. This applicant received Cannabis Control Board approval in February earlier this year. They are complying with the conditional use standards for this use. Staff also in our staff report prepared a map showing that they are the only location concurrent or existing or proposed in 600 feet from their front door. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P 23-045 as presented to the board this evening for approval, together with staff recommendation and condition.
Second.
Okay, and just to clarify, that is with the added condition that Mr. Torres put on the record?
Yes.
Okay. On a motion to approve with conditions, Acting Vice Chair Gangadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz. Sir, I couldn't hear you.
You're muted, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Torres,
I was muted. I vote aye.
okay. Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez.
Abstain.
Okay, motion carries. We have 7 in favor, right? Nope, sorry. 6 in favor and 1 abstention. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you, sir. Have a good one, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Feld. Okay, next case is P23, moving right along here, is -081. This is for a preliminary and final major subdivision. Address is 110 Van Kuren Ave. Applicant is, I'm sorry, attorney is Mr. O'Connor.
Donald.
Yeah, I know, right? No, this is O'Connor. It says.
Dean?
Mr. O'Connor is being promoted.
Thank you.
My apologies, Chair.
No worries. I thought I misread that too. I had to look at it.
Unmute myself, okay. Alrighty,
Yeah,
here I- all right, thank you. Thank you, Matt. My name is Tom O'Connor. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Waters, McPherson, McNeil, representing the applicant and property owner HRP Hudson Owner LLC. This application is for preliminary and final major subdivision approval. We have submitted a affidavit of publication and mailing, which I assume council has reviewed.
Evening, council. Chairman, I am to receive the affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the application at 110 Van Kuren Avenue here in the city. It does appear to be in order. We can mark it as A1 for the record. And council, just before you get into it, some preliminary remarks. As I understand it, this property is, for lack of a better term, in the Meadowlands and is under the New Jersey Sports and Expo Authority jurisdiction. But of course, because in New Jersey, nothing is simple. We have to hear it as well. But I believe you've already received approval. Maybe it was only preliminary, I wasn't clear, but I believe you already received approval from the Sports and Expo Authority.
Yes, Mr. Lampe, that is correct. We have received preliminary approval. We've also received final approval. The final plat is currently with the NJSE SEA awaiting signature. We didn't want to submit the final plat to the agency till we had all the comments from Jersey City Engineering, which we just got last week.
Okay. So with that, I would advise the board that, our jurisdiction is not as it normally is in the subdivision of land. The New Jersey Sports and Expo Authority, and for members of the public more specifically, the New Jersey Sports and Expos Authority has control of the, again, commonly referred to as Meadowlands area. And they are the premier agency overseeing land development in that part of the state. So let's get into it, Mr. O'Connor, but understanding obviously that the NJSEA has already granted some significant approvals to the applicant.
Thank you, Council, and we will keep it brief. What my plan was to, because of that unique position, give a little 2-minute background on the application. We only have one witness, the project engineer, Mr. Haberman, who will address the few points that Matt raised in his staff report. Essentially, the property consists of approximately 85-acre portion of a larger tract that the property owner, HRP, purchased from PSE&G at the end of 2018. The property was the site of a coal-burning power plant previously decommissioned by PSE&G, later demolished by HRP, and the HRP has done a complete site remediation. There is electrical switching equipment and gas supply facilities that remain on the site. Those have been retained by PSE&G via easements. The NJSEA designated a portion of the property, this portion, as an area in need of redevelopment and adopted what's known as the Van Curren Redevelopment Plan in 2020 for redevelopment as warehouse use. The NJSC granted site plan approval in 2021 with 3 buildings that have been constructed in total somewhere over 700,000 square feet. The purpose of this subdivision is to consolidate the lots that were used by PSE&G, which was a kind of a mishmash of 18 lots, and then re-subdivide it into lots which would correspond to the approved warehouse and PSE&G facilities. As you mentioned, it has already been approved by the NJSEA. We have also coordinated the subdivision plat with the Jersey City Engineering Division, who recently issued a final sign-off on the final plat. And we have from the beginning been in coordination with the Jersey City Tax Assessor's Office on the lot configurations and the lot designations. So Mr. Tolosa is in agreement with the subdivision. With that, I would call our first and only witness, who would be Jeff Haberman, the project engineer.
Hi, Jeff. I'll swear you in if you can raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Sure. Name is Haberman, spelled Haberman.
Thank you.
Mr. Haberman, we've qualified you in the past.
You have not, actually. This is my first time.
Okay, I thought we've met you before, maybe somewhere else. If you don't mind giving us just a short background of your education so we can qualify you for the record.
Sure. So I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. My license is current and in good standing. I have a bachelor's of science in civil engineering from Rutgers University. I'm a principal at my firm, Dynamic Engineering Consultants, and have over 11 years of experience in land development engineering, and I've testified before numerous planning zoning boards in the state.
Mr. Haberman, you are qualified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff, perhaps if you can share the exhibit you prepared, the aerial plan, to orient the board to the property, give them a brief description of it.
Absolutely. So, see as my.
There you go.
There we go. All right, great. So this exhibit here, I assume we'll mark it into the record as exhibit, I think A2 or A1.
A2.
It's entitled Aerial Site Plan Rendering. It's dated with yesterday's date, September 18, 2023. And to orient the board, just for my presentation, the north arrow is pointing to the top left corner of the page. So what you see here is essentially a colorized rendering of the site plan for that industrial complex that Mr. O'Connor was discussing, that was approved by the NJSEA and was recently constructed. All these improvements rendered here were constructed. The property itself is located along Van Kuren Avenue to the south, at its intersection with Duffield Avenue. To the west is the Hackensack River, And to the east and north of the properties, directly abutting the property, is lands that were comprising of the former Norfolk Southern Rail right-of-way, which is now owned by the NJDEP. So they had purchased properties all along the property here for the purpose of constructing what's called the Hudson Essex Greenway project. It's currently in the planning phases. It kind of ties into how we've granted some easements to the state over Hilco's property on the eastern side to facilitate some pedestrian access to this future greenway, which is a biking walkway path. But I'll get into that a little bit further. So as I had mentioned, this is all constructed, and it's comprised of 18 lots that are existing as of today, which will be re-subdivided into 7 new lots. Just for the record, those lots are block 3101, lots 21 through 26, 36, 37, and 42. As block 7402, lots 21 through 24, and 33 through 35. The combined existing lot area is approximately 85 acres in size. So the purpose of the subdivision, the proposed subdivision, is to subdivide these properties for these 3 proposed buildings that are now constructed, as well as some of the existing features that are currently on site. At the north end of the site is a what's called a switching station that PSE&G currently operates, as well as a second switching station that's located on the southern end of the site. Where my cursor is indicating. It's shown as greenery now in the rendering, but that is actually an existing switching station. So the 7 lots are comprised, essentially 3 of the lots will be for the 3 buildings. 1 lot will be for some environmentally sensitive areas, including this discharge canal. Another lot will be for what's called really an unmanned facility. That's a future development that the applicant is currently contemplating and hasn't gotten approvals for yet. So that may be a future application to the NJSEA. And the 2 lots for the switching stations. So 7 lots in total.
Just to focus on the items information that Matt Ward indicated in his staff report, could you just tell us, was this application granted certain variances by the NJSEA? Can you tell us what those are?
Sure. So the applicant did receive variance relief from the NJSEA, specifically 4 of the lots at the north end of the parcel do not have frontage on a public access roadway with how the parcel is being subdivided. However, there is access being provided by way of shared access easements through the property to facilitate access to this warehouse building specifically, as well as to the PSE&G switchyard station and the other lots in the back end of the site. The applicant also received variance relief for not meeting the minimum lot width for lot 1 specifically for this warehouse building. And the applicant also received variance relief for not meeting the minimum open space requirements on 2 of the lots. It's just important to note, this was previously all considered one zoning lot of record pursuant to the Meadowlands District regulations. So the construction of the site was under that one zoning lot, and there were no variances enacted for the overall development, but we did provide the planning proofs to the NJSEA to provide that variance relief once the subdivision came into play.
And Jeff, can you point out for us the DEP greenway that was created actually came up a bit short, a couple of 100 feet short of the access to a public right-of-way. Can you show us where the easement is that was granted by the property owner to DEP for extension of that greenway?
Sure. So if I may, the main greenway trail is really along this corridor here. This is actually the terminus of the greenway that extends all the way to Montclair. So the NJDEP was struggling with figuring out how they could get public access over to the greenway from Van Kuren Avenue. So they had engaged the applicant to provide an easement through their property, essentially in this green space area here, to provide an extension of their pathway to connect all the way up to the main greenway that's on the north end of the site.
And that easement is completed and of record, so that's all in place.
That is correct.
And lastly, the NJDOT is proposing some improvements to 1 and 9, which they refer to as New Road. Can you show us, those are located off-site?
Yes, they are located off-site to the east of the parcel. Essentially, this project that the DOT is calling the New Road Project starts at Secaucus Road, further to the north off of the page, and it ultimately terminates at the St. Paul's Avenue intersection. That project, the New Road, essentially comes in very close proximity to the property line along here, along the eastern property line. So again, the applicant was engaged by the DOT to provide them some temporary construction easements on their property and along the eastern property line, so that NJDOT had the ability to construct some of their improvements when the time came in the next 2 to 3 years, I believe is the timing.
Mr. O'Connor, not to interrupt.
That was.
I don't believe I have this drawing or exhibit in or on the portal.
Yeah,
No.
I think it was quickly entered in or put on the record as A2, Santo.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jeff, could you just pull up the subdivision plat so we can show the actual plat that we're asking the board to approve and sign? So that was kind of a whirlwind tour of the last 3 years of the NJSEA approval process. But basically, this plat has been approved by that agency. It's been reviewed by your engineering division and the tax assessor's office, and is in good shape. But basically, this plat, which is located, it's on 2 sheets, but essentially mirrors the aerial that Mr. Haberman showed.
And Mr. O'Connor, just so I'm clear in my mind's eye, you were able to secure the site plan portion and the development of the site because under the regulation from the Sports and Expo Authority, it was developed all as one site under a redevelopment plan that they had put in place. But once it's determined to create separate parcels, that created, obviously, one, the need for the subdivision, but then it created some variances because of the way in which the lines were drawn in order to effectuate those separate lots.
Yes, that's exactly the case, Mr. Lampe. It's the variances that were granted because each of these separate lots had some deficiency under the regulations. But I would point out that the properties will continue to be operated as a unit, a single unit. The applicant property owner is establishing a property owners association to maintain and manage all of the internal roadways and to manage the areas of the site that are going to be preserved as environmental.
So out of curiosity more than anything else,
okay,
is the entire project built out now, or is there still some portions to be built?
The entire area that's the subject of the subdivision is built out. There is one adjacent parcel which has site plan approval, which has not been built yet, but it's not part of this application.
Understood.
And the majority of the property acquired from PSE&G was wetlands and is in an environmental conservation zone, which is mostly in the town of Secaucus.
All right, Chairman, unless anybody has any other questions about the exhibits, we can stop the screen share. I don't know, Council, if you have anything further.
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. O'Connor, thank you very much. We will, I guess at this point, open it. You don't have any more witnesses, right?
No, sir.
We'll open it up for the to the public. and see if anyone has a question. This is for case P23-081. Anyone from the public, raise your hand.
Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
Second.
Okay, public is now closed. And I think we have Matt again.
So yeah, we prepared a staff memo dated September 13th, 2023. We kept it pretty short here as this is in the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority's jurisdiction. We do know that there is just some review agent comments out, which they've testified to. So they've already meeting some of those conditions that we're recommending the board consider should they make a motion to approve. And then also just to memorialize the resolution of this board along with the deeds of these properties, which is standard for subdivisions. Staff recommends approval.
Matt, I would only point out that our intent was to memorialize the subdivision by recording of the plat, not necessarily do it by deed. So
That's fine, yeah, but I'd say by plat or deed.
Yeah.
In the conditions.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P23-081 as presented to the board this evening for approval, together with staff recommendation and conditions.
Second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded.
Okay, on a motion to approve with conditions, Acting Vice Chair Gangadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Torres,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Motion carries, all in favor on motion approved with conditions.
Thank you very much,
Mr.
ladies and
O'Connor.
gentlemen.
Thank you very much,
Thank
guys. Okay, it's kind of that time. Cameron, anyone reach out to you?
Only one more applicant. Yeah, and it was for the Dunkin' Donuts signage. Item 21 on the agenda, address 402 Grand Street, case number P2023-0003. They've requested to carry with preservation of notice to October 10th. But other than that, I think we should probably just start bringing up attorneys.
I agree with you.
All right.
Okay, so let's bring up Mr. Sterling on case P23-067 on 394 Summit Ave.
Yes, Chairman.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Good.
Sorry. We got something to take care of, and it has to be at hard stop at 9. I don't think you could do this in 10.
As much as I'd like to, I don't think I can do it in 10 either.
Okay, so what can we do for you?
I would request that this matter be carried with preservation of notice until the October 10th meeting.
Okay. Cam, is that possible?
Yes, sir. Certainly. Let's see who else.
And
Sure.
you're Mr. Lee, that's the last one you had, right?
That is the only one I was handling this evening. There might be some other cases under my name, but they were being handled by Mr. Harrington, and I believe he adjourned all of them.
Okay. Very well. Have a great night.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Council. Yeah, Mr. O'Connell. For
Yes, good.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Very well, Acting Chairman. Feeling well. I hope you are too.
Thank you. I am. This is for 40 Waverly Street.
It is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, unfortunately, we're running to this time crunch.
This is a 5-minute application, maybe less.
Oh, okay. If you can hold real quick, maybe we can
Yep.
bring up, okay, just to hang in there for us.
I will.
All right.
We got 8:51, Chair.
I know.
9 minutes, baby.
I have to be a 3 minute.
And this
Can we
is
bring
Ward
up-
C we're talking about. Woo.
Can we bring up Heather Kumar?
I know that's who I've been trying to find. If Heather, you could raise your hand. I can't.
She was in there, but now I don't, and I tried promoting her, but I don't see her anymore.
Check. Oh, I just got emails from her. That's why. Yeah, literally 1 minute ago. So yeah,
Okay.
she's requested to carry both of her cases.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so that works out. let me just, because I think that was case, so case P 22-230 for 656 Grant Street was Ms. Coomer, and also case P 23-097 for 433 Palisade Ave. That was case number P20, I'm sorry, 22 on the agenda. Those were the last two that we were gonna hear
Yeah.
that were on there. Okay. I guess, Mr. O'Connell, you've got whatever left.
Okay, I'll try to talk fast.
Real quick, I'm sorry, can you just call the application?
Yes, I am gonna call it, call case P 2023-0038. This is for a minor subdivision, address 40 Waverly Street.
Yes, thank you. Gene O'Connell for the applicant and owner. This is a minor subdivision to subdivide a lot 50 by 100 to two buildable lots of 25 by 100. It is a notice case and notices were submitted.
Thank you, Council. Chairman, I haven't received the affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the application at 40 Waverly Street here in the city. All does appear to be in order. Let's mark it as A1 for the record.
Thank you, Council.
All right, so basically, the applicant did make an application for a minor subdivision back in 2017 and it was granted. Unfortunately, they never filed the subdivision map and that forced us to make this application tonight. So the application is very straightforward. It's on 40 Waverly Street, which is a vacant lot 50 by 100 on the east side of Baldwin and the west side of Palisade. And all we're asking tonight is to subdivide that 50 by 100 foot lot into two lots 25 by 100, and they will share a 10-foot driveway for both residences. And so it's a very straightforward application, and I'd ask the board to vote on it.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. Pretty standard. We've done this before. All right. Any questions for Mr. O'Connell from anyone?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Let me open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on this case, 40 Waverly Street?
Mr. Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
Second.
I'm just gonna come right in and say we'd like to introduce you to one of our new planners here in city planning. I'll let her introduce herself. This is her first application, and you have the floor, Shunru.
And I'm sorry, just before you have the floor, can I swear you in? Since I didn't earlier.
That's right.
You'll raise your right hand. You swear any testimony you give right now is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
So yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Well, it's not right. You got one. Give her 1 minute.
I could think of no better attorney than Gentle Gene to be welcomed in by.
Thanks, Steve.
So anyway, hi everyone. My name is Shunru. I'm new here. I am the assistant planner and also handling some GIS stuff in the city planning. And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
You're handling
Hey.
this application, Junro?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you say? What say you about this? Recommend it?
So yeah, so I just wanted to mention that one of the conditions mentioned in staff report is that the new 10-foot wide curb cut should be served and be shown by the both lot for any future development at the new lots. And then I do want to ask the attorney that would you be able to accept the condition in the staff report?
Juru, we do. We accept the conditions, and thanks for holding my hand through the whole application. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Other than that, staff recommend approval with conditions.
Awesome. Your first approval, Junro. Good stuff.
Oof.
All right.
Huge.
Made a motion.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P 2023-000038.
Second it.
All right, I'll jump in here
Presented to
for
the
this
board this
one.
evening to get a recommendation. And
Second, that's right. It's done.
I think you broke up there, acting chair.
Yes.
Could you just repeat the motion, please?
sure. I would like to make a P2023-0038 as pre.
Uh-oh.
Pick it up.
You know,
Yeah, Vidya, you're cutting off. We can't hear you.
We went blank too.
Maybe stop your video for a moment, Commissioner, and then repeat the motion. Maybe that will work.
taking longer to make the motion than the presentation.
Is that a new trick? You stop the video and it fixes the feed?
Let's see if it
I don't
fixed
know.
it. Motion to
works.
approve. Okay,
Wow.
motion to
Oh,
approve
wow.
case P023-0038 is presented to the board this evening for approval with staff recommendation and conditions.
I second it.
Second.
Look at you, Matt.
Hey, look at that. Gotta play the
Learn
numbers.
something there.
All right. On a motion to approve with acting Vice Chair Gangadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Torres,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai, Commissioner?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Lipsky,
If only all applications could be this quick and smooth, I vote aye.
Next application.
and acting Chair Dr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
All right, motion carries, all in favor on a motion to approve.
All right, thanks for fitting me in and have a great rest of the night.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Thank you, council.
Yeah, Gene. And we still have 2 minutes before 9. Woof.
Right? Look
What
at
else
him.
do we talk about?
Matt, I wish we knew that 3 years ago.
I know.
I
Don't
like
know.
Organizations?
don't know what to say.
So, acting chairman, I would recommend that we move on to the memorializing of resolutions before we go into the executive session.
Perfect.
Just so we can
Great
go
idea. Okay.
Resolution, memorialize the following resolution. Resolution of the planning board, the city of
Uh-oh.
You're cutting.
LLC.
Vidya, you may have to turn your video off again one more time. It did it again.
And if it doesn't work, I can just read them.
Okay, let's see if it works again. Resolution of the planning board of the city of Jersey City, applicant Jersey Avenue, 18 Land LLC for preliminary major site plan approval. Address is 853 Jersey Avenue, New Jersey. Case is P22-127. Second resolution of the city of Jersey City Planning Board, case number P23-090. Applicant is Wilkinson Property Holding LLC. Address is 178 Monticello Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey. Block 16802, lot 67. Decided on August 22nd, 2023. Application for minor site plan approval. Third resolution, City of Jersey City Planning Board in the matter of White Lotus Dispensary LLC for conditional use Class 5 cannabis retail establishment. Address is 749 West Side Avenue, Block 16102, Lot 14. Case number is P23-005, decided on August 22nd, 2023. Application for conditional use. Resolution number 4, resolution of the planning board for the city of Jersey City approving a conditional use applicant Benedict Supplies LLC 23 John F. Kennedy Boulevard, Block 2005, Live. Case number is P23-077. Fifth resolution. Resolution of the Planet Johnston Equities LLC. Amendment to final major site plan approval with address being 342 Johnston Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey, Block 17506, Lot 11, case number P22-211. Resolution of the Planning Board for the City of Jersey City memorializing its Section 31, review and recommendations with respect to the demolition and parking lot construction at 119 Newkirk Street by the Hudson County Community College. That case number is P 23-106. Final resolution, section 31, review and recommendation with respect to signage of certain buildings of its Jersey City campus by the Hudson County Community College. Case number is P 2023-0001. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vidya.
Okay, acting Vice Chair Gongadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato. One more time, Commissioner Stamato.
Aye.
All right, and Commissioner Torres
Aye.
and acting chair, Dr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All in favor to memorialize resolutions.
Okay, great. I think we're gonna need an executive session, so I'm gonna need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
right.
guys.
Let me clear out attendees and stop recording. So give me a minute.
Sure.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Woo! Have a great night.
Thanks,
See you on
everyone.
the
Night, have a
10th.
great night. Don't forget, send that letter out so I
Favor.
can review it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Email, Matt.
All right.
Not put it on the portal yet.
All right. Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.